Nice gap up for the S&P 500 here to start the week. We have a lot to talk about in terms of major tech names with these 13F filings circulating. Now, we actually have the NASDAQ outperforming the SPY this morning. We're gapping up not just above where we closed yesterday, but also even above some of these highs that we had going back to Friday or Thursday, sorry, and even Friday pre-market. So nice look here for the NASDAQ and for the SPY, but USO certainly back in focus right now. Kind of choppy here, right? Poised to open roughly where we closed going back to Friday's session, but we had some comments coming here from President Trump saying in an interview that he will bomb Oman if it gets in the way of the U.S. So that's certainly something to keep an eye on here. More comments from President Trump as that deadline for the U.S.-Iran ceasefire is set to expire imminently at this point. In terms of housekeeping, just before we get into some stock-specific stories, we have NY Fed manufacturing at 8:30 a.m. I'll keep you guys posted on this number. If there is any kind of market move on it, I'll let you guys know, but not a number that we usually follow super closely. At 10 a.m., though, I'll be here to give you guys the NAHB Housing Market Index print. We are expecting a slight decline from the previous number, nothing massive, so that'll be worth keeping an eye on. Getting a little bit more economic data tomorrow, mostly building permits and housing starts. So light economic data to start the week, to be sure. Let's talk about SpaceX. I mentioned these 13F filings, and SPCX was mentioned in a whole bunch of them with not just major firms. You had major companies like Google and Nvidia and AMD with stakes in SPCX. So that's certainly something to be discussed. Big look there. Google also getting name dropped as well in the Berkshire 13F. We already knew they had a position, but now we get a little bit more detail as to that position. Off camera, we were all discussing here before the show went live. Snapchat and this round trip from down, I think 14 to 16%, trying to recover right now, almost close to flat. So lots to discuss as always on this busy Monday morning. Good morning, Sharif.
Good morning, Adair. Was good. It was nice and quiet, nice and relaxing. Yeah, on volume too. Snapchat, we still don't know why. What a move down, got about 4.5. Now it's about 5 1/5. So as soon as we find out what is going on with Snap, obviously we'll report to you. It was not just a price spike down. It's done almost 22 million shares of volume to start the morning. And as Adair mentioned, yes, the 13Fs, all the different entities disclosing all the interest they had in SpaceX. Harvard, one of those as well, $2.2 billion investment by the elite Ivy League institution, which has a lot of commentary from some of the professors there. I guess we'll get to that on the midday show. Let's talk a little Nvidia, though, because they're backtracking a little bit here from some of the investments that they had backstopped with OpenAI. It used to be about $250 billion. They're trying to wind that down to about $120 billion as the relationship is evolving here somewhat. Apple, with some app store adjustments in Germany. Baba looking to sell some of their gaming assets there. And then, as Adair mentioned, the U.S. And the Iranian conflict in the Strait of Hormuz continues to develop. Hive Digital, guys, up 13 3/4 here to start the morning on a good AI cloud deal. You also got the nod for Etsy and Pandub. They both got upgraded. SoFi, Adair as well also got the nod. They're up 2 and change. And then FXI, some China weakness there with the Chinese economy.
Yeah, there's a lot of upgrades and downgrades I'm sure we'll be discussing today. Mostly upgrades, though, as you mentioned. You've got that SoFi news. You had Apple as well with a positive note. Amazon with a really positive note. So that is all going to be discussed. But I know we're all very positive to be seeing Shawn and Neil here back with us today. Good morning to both of you. How are your weekends?
Good morning there. And
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good weekend. I mean, I was thrilled. The Jays won 2 out of 3 of the Yankees. Yeah. So like at one point we're actually in the playoffs.
Are we not?
We're a game behind after the loss yesterday, but that miracle has managed to stay true.
Yeah, why not?
We're still trying to figure out I still want to figure out what's going on with Snapchat. And one thing worth noting on this, because if you were here in the afternoon on Friday, they did have an interesting on volume drop at 3:15. So this was moving in the afternoon and then kind of dropped and a little bit of a bounce here. So worth keeping an eye on. It's got a big short float. Obviously, that's going to be a big play. But wow, the market just keeps churning and churning along. Just look at all of your memory names today and you'll be perfectly happy. DRAM is up 5. Okay, well, It was up 5% 5 minutes ago. Now it's up 4%. So pulling back a little bit here. Memory name's going to be in play. Looking incredibly strong here so far. We said Snapchat. And basically everybody owns SpaceX, and it's a lot of firms that probably don't buy them, but it's based on, or sell them, sorry, based on those 13F filings. So all it shows you is that you've got huge institutional ownership of SpaceX and not a lot of available to sell.
Yeah, they might not be selling too many.
No, I don't think so.
Coming through, but SpaceX doesn't really have flat on the day. Like, I don't know.
Nah.
I feel like this market, I don't know what's hitting it right now. Maybe it's just tensions there with Iran and everything like that. But it looks like we're starting to head to the downside right now as it's starting to flip up just a little bit and get lower. Like all the longs that I was sort of trying to think about here are starting to come back in. Lip Bhutan now over 1 million shares of Intel this guy has. Just bought a boatload there at $95, I guess, last 2 weeks. Yeah, nice move coming in for that stock. So I was like, oh, maybe, if we can get Intel, but that's already at 103. So I was like, oh, what about this 102 level? Well, that might be coming in a little faster than we thought. Saw some people in, what's up to Red Devil from Markham in there, and someone from Brampton. Dale is from Brampton.
Dale,
so shout out to Brampton. We're from Brampton. Neil and I from Brampton, so is Brendan. And Brendan's not here yet today. And we'll have Obi filling in on the midday. Joe's not here today, so we'll have Obi filling in for him on the midday. So that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, looking at some more names. Cerebras coming in there as well. We had a big tournament on the weekend, but unfortunately in the top of the very first inning, Gia fractured her thumb.
What?
Yeah, small little fracture there. So it's a type 2. So she hit a triple, her very first at bat, and then stole home. I guess that was when she was sliding.
Oh, head first slide?
No, it wasn't head first, but I think there was a little collision. I don't know exactly what happened.
Oh, could have caught with like the...
Yeah, she got caught there, so that kind of sucks. So I'm going to be in on Friday, because I won't be taking off Friday anymore because I got to put that in the calendar there for she won't be doing her hockey this week, so unfortunately that's just sad. And then, so very half inning of a 5-game tournament, which we wound up losing in the finals, which was still fine. It was still a great tournament, but yeah, that was kind of sad for our family this weekend, but she'll be fine. You got to overcome those things.
That's that's the thing. Injury.
It's funny, like she plays hockey for so long and she gets hurt in baseball. So weird things. But just talking about USO. I don't know if this is the situation today or not. Like, there's really nothing going on here either with oil. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about all of this. So, but anyways, I guess we'll get it all figured out. Kids are trying to go see the new. Is it Spider-Man or Superman? Spider-Man, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Adair
went to go see it. So I wanted to ask her how did you wind up seeing that movie?
I did. I cried probably on and off through the entire last third. It is a very emotional movie. It's really emotional. Like, I'm just gonna tell you guys, if you thought the last one was emotional, this one ups the ante on that 100%. Oh. This is not your your teenage Spider-Man. Spider-Man is older. He is aged. He has a lot of feelings. It's really well done. And John Bernthal is excellent. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll just say John Bernthal is my favorite part of the movie.
All right, I haven't seen any of the Spider-Mans. I think the one that the only part of any Spider-Man I remember is that kissing scene where she's coming down. And that's literally the only part of any Spider-Man that I've ever seen.
That's like 8 Spider-Mans.
I know. I think I got to run through the gauntlet again and watch that. I didn't see anything with whatever that new act. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
That's what it is. He's still the guy?
I'm assuming so. He is. I'm trying to picture a Tom Holland movie where I'm going to be crying in it. I can't see it. I can't see it happening.
I don't know. Well, apparently it was more emotional than the last one. Did you see the last one?
I did see the last one. I didn't find it overly emotional. I found it enjoyable. I definitely found it enjoyable. I found the new Avengers trailer also enjoyable as well. But
was it emotional, the new Avengers trailer? No, not emotional. No.
Well, I mean,
it looks like people in the chat are liking the Spider-Man movie.
People seem to think it's really good. There you go. Rodney says best movie ever.
They're doing a lot of numbers.
That'll play.
The numbers are big.
Getting
okay, we can check out RTX. I don't know. Is that doing anything right now? Raytheon, 22.9 billion contract. That seems like it's pretty good. Yeah, a little tick higher there, 221 to 225 right now on Raytheon. So that looks like that's good. Tomahawk missile. It was a U.S. Navy. Okay. Well, we like government contracts. Those are pretty sticky. But, you can see Raytheon has already started to make that move. And I think we talked about this last week. I'm not sure if it was someone that was on our show or we got a super chat about it, but it was breaking through. So, yeah, it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Raytheon broke through this 225 or, I guess, 220 area, now up to 225 and looking now to get through that last little hump. So this story probably does that. So Raytheon, yeah, if it's in your portfolio, you want to keep it. Hey, this week we have a swath of retail, right? So we have Home Depot, we have Target, we have Walmart. So in what's been such a successful earnings season, one of the best earnings seasons numbers-wise that I can remember, Looks like Home Depot, a little bit of a pullback. I think they'll be fine. That's a nice little pullback area. Let's see if they can take down that 360 level coming out. Walmart's been just up and down with sort of people trying to, get money in at certain levels, drops into that 108. We'll have to wait to see. We got bad retail numbers last week that kind of surprised. So we'll have to wait to see if, that is a true story or not. Holding 108, holding 116. So back and forth for Walmart. I think it's going to be a break higher. I don't know, maybe I'm just bullish about all these names. So yeah, retail should be fun this week as long as, the first one comes out okay. The rest will probably be fine. I don't know what the dollar stores are doing. I haven't checked out those in a minute, but yeah, SoFi got upgraded, I see.
Yeah, SoFi was the upgrade. That actually, their chart looks pretty solid for SoFi here today. The one thing we should keep an eye on, though, and I'm going to refresh it now, is what are we looking at for rates? All right, we're like 69%. 69% that rates are staying as is. We're going to get Fed meeting minutes this week, so we'll get an idea of what the discussions around the dissenters were at, because some wanted to raise. You have to imagine. Look, let's be real. We had some not that crazy inflation data, right? And then when you combine that with what was going on in the labor market, you would almost feel like we're going to continue to see, unless something crazy happens, continue to see lower chance of rate hikes throughout. So we're still at 30%, but I expect that's going to change a little bit here. You know what I haven't seen? Well, I'm looking into the chat, and I see UiPath, I see JLA talking about SNDK. Oh, there it is. Arthur Axton just now said, have we talked about SpaceX yet? That's what I was waiting for. Because usually there's a bunch of people with the SpaceX joke.
Right. We did talk a little.
So we did talk about it because the whole the conversation over the weekend with SpaceX wasn't about their 2 successful launches, because why would it be? It was about everybody in the world owning them. And Nvidia's got a big stake, and Nvidia's not going to be investing as much in OpenAI, so it's kind of going in another direction there. But it's a very, very quiet. You can't call it quiet. Just because it's flat, it did move. It's actually moved back a couple of dollars here. But remember, on Thursday 145, Friday 144, both those levels proved to be pretty big resistance and drop zones. We still need to clear that out. That 145 potential breakout is still looming. But I don't see any small cappers in the chat. What's going on here? I'm not. It's all big cap names. Luis is talking about Hive. So where are the small cappers at, Sharif?
Here, Neil, right on my screen. IPST, the big boy of the morning, up 242%. Just got into around $8, give or take. It's at 7.5 right now. You can see that it's right back into that clear area of resistance that we had very early on in the morning at around 7 4/5. A lot of topping tail candles into that high 7s area. But when you look at the prints, almost all the closing prints reject that 7.25, at least on the 5-minute chart. We're above it right now. Let's see if we can get through 8. We get this close to 10. I'm thinking 10 Adara, but we're substantially above the volume weighted average price by about $1.50.
Yeah, another name that looks like it's above the average volume-weighted average price VWAP right now is AAPL. That's Apple. A couple different stories in this one, as we alluded to this morning. They did get an upgrade and a $400 price target from Rothschild. There's a couple different ways to take this story, though, today. Either way, AAPL looking strong to start the day.
Yeah, look, this Germany story here is, I don't want to say it's a nothing burger, but it's just more regulatory kind of talk. It's about Apple having to modify its app tracking transparency framework on basically in most of the European countries to kind of settle some of the regulatory issues there. So they're legally bound for 7 years. There's going to be a trustee, an independent trustee that's literally going to audit every single iOS update to ensure that the consent pop-ups remain visually and linguistically neutral. What does that mean? It means you can't have any red or any other colors in the pop-ups to differentiate them from a system prompt and one that you would get on a third-party installed app. They don't want there to be any differentiation so that there's no bias. Look, I get the point of it. I just don't think that the government should be telling Apple how to run its iOS, but hey, those are the rules there. And Apple had previously threatened to shut that whole thing off in Europe so as not to sort of be in violation of some of the regulations, but they've chosen a different path. You mentioned the update as well, or the upgrade as well. Let's get to that. Rothschild and Co. Redburn analyst Tim Schultz-Melander, he upgraded Apple to a buy from neutral and a significant price target here at Adara, $260 up to $400. He's projecting iPhone sales to grow as much as 12% annually through 2030. That's about 14% above the consensus estimate, so very much an outlier here. He says, look, Apple's entry into the premium foldable market with the iPhone Ultra, which I will buy in the fall, is going to be a leading mover for them. Earnings ahead of consensus as well. He thinks the estimates are 18% above 2030 consensus. He believes they're well positioned to kind of become the gatekeeper for consumer AI. He goes on to give many other reasons.
And you mentioned Apple and the government, Sharif. That's going to come into play here with some more concerns about whether or not Apple will be using this Chinese memory company. We're going to get into that on the rundown when we talk about these memory names, but I just wanted to mention that as well because that is also tangentially, of course, related to AAPL. Are you guys looking to take a bite out of Apple today?
Didn't quite make the list, but it's on a slow grind battling back here off of 300. So maybe this was as far as it wanted to drop, and it doesn't want to give you the dip buys in Apple have been pretty clean-ish off the 200 period. There was one little jaunt underneath, but it's been buy it off the 200 period moving average, and it felt like this last pullback was giving you sort of the same thing. Whether or not this story, as Sharif mentioned, probably not going to be a gigantic mover. It did catch an upgrade. The problem is it's exactly, we're 0.45%, the NASDAQ's 0.43%. It's exactly in line with the market at this moment. So yeah, 300 has been your bounce spot, but unless it really wants to retest that level, maybe pull back in a prior high or prior closes have worked the last 3 sessions. If you really like it, there's a prior close, pull back, double bounce, kind of go back into the close area and then bounce. There's always that kind of a trade for Apple, but it's the other side that I think that Darren mentioned will be a bigger deal. And it's not Apple specific. It was the government not wanting Apple to be purchasing foreign memory chips. That's a bigger story because that gives a big bounce to the Microns of the world. That's why you'll see DRAM up. So you're much more likely to have the chip side be a little bit more active today than Apple. But I still like the bounce off 300. It's been great. Maybe we get another shot at that this week on some weakness if there is any. But right now it's just even with the market.
Yeah, sometimes I don't really like stocks that are kind of cruising around with the market. We like to get ones that are outpacing them. But for me, Apple, I mean, I like the long. I mean, I think I was just writing it down actually right now, that it seems like it might be a good value play here over just around this $300, and you're still getting it at a price close enough to that. And when we've come back in, I think this looks like a good little base here, trying to just basically ramp up for its next leg higher here. I think that's what it looks like to me with Apple. It just feels like it's just kind of basing and ready to go. 2 or 3 straight up days right now. Decent story coming out. Upgraded, citing the runway there. Sharif just mentioned, the new product outlook for Apple should be probably bought up. I mean, the foldable I know hasn't been great, I think, for Samsung and maybe for Google, but I think Apple will be a difference maker there. Up 0.5%. Little, outpacing the market a bit, but I like it if we can get something back. I wrote down 306, basically where this 200 period moving average is, just to look at it. It was a pretty key level there from Friday as well. So, we broke now above, back into this area, 305 to 306. Looks like a good deal to me if we can get something down there just as a scalp. So you take the long, you let it fall back in if it is going to do that, and then we take the long off 306. I think to me, that looks like the play for Apple. I've written it down already. It's nothing rocket science on this one. I just think the stock works. It's a good value down here, as everyone will be chasing the DRAMs and SpaceXs and all that kind of stuff. I think Apple can just kind of quietly work, right? I mean, the problem with it is sometimes you got to wait a couple minutes. The market was so choppy there on Friday that I think, I can't remember. I mean, we traded a few names on Friday, but if this sets up today where we base like this and it's around that 305, I want to take that kind of a log. Now, obviously it breaks there, but that's what I wanted to do, is come back in, give us some kind of support areas, and then, try to bounce off with Apple. So, I like the stock. I like the fact that they're not a huge AI CapEx spend there, and yet they've seemed like it's gotten figured out a little bit. I'm using that Siri AI a little bit more. I mean, ever since Sharif mentioned it to me, I'm starting to use it a little bit more. It does check, because Gia fractured her thumb, she's supposed to be at baseball camp all week. So obviously we had to message the guy and say, hey, look, she's hurt, she's not coming.
Right.
And I said to Marissa, like, I can't remember how much we sent the guy for the week. So I knew it was in my email. So I just asked Siri. It was brilliant, actually. This is the kind of cool thing about it. I said, I'm not going to drop the guy's name, but I said, you know, how much did we pay, you know, Neil Roberts or whatever for baseball camp? And it actually searched through all my texts. And I said, like with Marissa, because she'd be the only one that told me. So it searched all my texts, all my Google chats and all that stuff on my phone, and it spit back the exact number. It's like on June 26th, whatever, you paid XYZ, $415.40 for you know, whatever. So then I knew immediately, you know, what we had put out for this week. And thankfully they filled the spawn and we got the money back, so I was fine. But
it was important for Apple to get that going, because that's what everyone needs.
That's like how a simple man like me, like my, you know, my son uses Claude and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, this stuff can get worked in too.
Well, you can do that if you
you know, you let it access your phone and all that, blah, blah, blah. But this Siri is just built in, and it's just simple for simple people. Like, I was just looking for that response. Yeah. I'm not asking it to build me like a freaking, you know, whatever, neutron, whatever thing, you know, time machine or, you know. I'm just trying to get it to do very simple things, and that worked. So I
ask
was,
it to solve nuclear fission.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was pretty impressed with it. So. But anyways, that's what Apple was doing there. So that was pretty fun to do that. But yeah, so we'll look at some Apple today, needless to say. We should have Michael Nauss coming through again as well today, so that should be fun. We'll see what he's talking about. It's mid-month. So I know he gets really excited at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. So we'll see what he's going to be talking. Well, remember on Friday he was talking about, I think, the outpacing NASDAQ.
It was that NASDAQ, S&P.
You know, balance there. So we'll see what he's talking about.
I wanted to talk about gold. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Gold, yeah.
Michael talked
he's talked about that a little bit, I think.
I know he definitely has, but I think it's one of those, hey man, it's finally going again. You're getting a little bit of a breakout, and like, I'd love to see one of his studies on market at all-time highs, blah, 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 gold on a certain amount of drawback, like how many times have you seen that? Like that type of a thing. But who knows? No idea what he's going to mention. It is worth noting, like a lot of other things, man, GLD, despite the fact that it has been on a little bit of a mini breakout, it's also diddling, doing not much of anything. Like, we're very much inside range. When we start looking at all the places that will, you know, sort of try to figure where the market is going, USO, again, like oil futures doing absolutely nothing. The 60-day ceasefire ends. You still have no real resolution in sight, the back and forth, and we're still basically hovering in the range that we're at last week. So this at least provides us with something, I think, with USO to look at. If we start drifting too far in one direction or another, you could find yourself with a potential break. That could move the markets. Remember, anytime you're consolidating in a bit of an upward trend, that's usually a good thing, but we're consolidating and, again, diddling in the middle. Like, you're not at a distinct price area for USO. So keep your head to the ground, because I think this week is probably going to be just more waiting for any kind of a headline that might move oil futures and any of the names that might want to go off those levels. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. I know Adair usually has an idea what Michael's going to talk about. You don't have to tell us what he's going to be talking about, but is there any chance it's metals?
It's not even close. And it's also not equities, is what I'll say. It's pretty interesting, and I don't want to get into too much, but it'll be exciting. Also potentially exciting here, keep an eye on UBER, because Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi announcing right now that I guess Uber's going to be investing in Zipline. Zipline is a drone delivery company for food, groceries, and medicine, so it makes sense for Uber Eats to potentially invest in this. So maybe some drone delivery in Uber's future. If I get anything else of note, I'll let you know. Stock not really reacting to this. Let's talk, though, about INTC. We know Intel CEO here, Lip Bhutan. He's been in power at this point for just under a year and a half, just over a year here for INTC. And Lip Bhutan loading up on Intel shares as announced through an SEC filing.
But just before I get to this, what do you think the insider ownership at Intel is? And a hint, it's very, very low. Just insider ownership. at this company. Now,
Sub
keep in
10%.
mind, way less than 10%. Keep in mind, a lot of the leadership's changed over the years.
That's
right?
true, Shawn. I mean, yeah, we
Adara.
have. Okay, I have no idea.
0.05% of the float is owned by insiders. So, like, as low as it gets. I mean, I'm sure it's not a record or anything, but it's quite low, guys. All right, looking at the SEC Form 4 here, he bought about $10 million. We're talking about Lip Bu Tan. He's the CEO of Intel, of course. This was done concurrently alongside Intel's $20 billion upsized equity at $95 a pop. That was last week. He purchased exactly 263,000 shares, executed, as I mentioned, alongside the secondary offerings. It was not an independent open market purchase. It was placed also into a closed family trust. He's not holding it in personam. He's holding it through a trust. It was also the offering that I was just talking about there was also upsized. So initially it was for $15 billion, but so much exuberance on the market to get in on this. It was upsized by another $5 billion. Also, the underwriters have another $3 billion option. They got 30 days to exercise that. We talked to you about that. And that $20 billion raise, Adara, did dilute the float by about 5%.
Yeah, that's an interesting look here. I didn't realize how small that insider ownership was, but certainly a metric to keep an eye on potentially for INTC. How do you guys feel about this Lip Bu Tan buy today?
Well, I mean, you always care more about insider buying than you do selling, I think, because oftentimes like the selling is just, it's scheduled and you got to do it every now and then. But insider buying, that's an important distinction. Do keep in mind there's a buyer of Intel stock. At least there was a buyer of Intel stock, which does matter, and it's not an insider, but it is U.S. government, and things have been good since that stake. So that does factor into, I think, positivity as well. But I like the story. Unfortunately, the market just hit another.
Yeah.
What's going on? We just hit another. Okay, USO just moved a little bit to the upside. Something might be going on here because I just saw the Qs. I'm just going to leave it on the chart here, and I'll show you the black chart. The Qs just did that with a spike up about $1 to $1.50 in oil futures there. You got the story?
Yeah, Iran decides to switch from defensive strategy to offensive strategy is what I just heard. Daryl can try to get that. Yeah, it confirms. There it is right there. Decided to shift its policies. No, because just it's back and forth. It's just like we can't get a day when there's not like some kind of a. And the only reason I laugh at that is because like offensive one, like I'm not sure what Iran, like I know it's all about the Strait and maybe they're going to start like, taking out ships now. Like it doesn't look like oil and I chuckle because like we get that move down and then now it's just going to come right back. It's this whole tit for tat. Like there goes oil. Oh, offensive. Okay. And it's just like, this is what, as a scalper, it's fine, it's good, it's providing volume and
you need to
everything,
watch the
but
wire.
it's like you get stopped out. No, you get stopped out of all your trades, and it's just like sometimes.
Yeah, because if you imagine you're just sitting around.
Yeah, because your stop order hits, like if you're long the futures, wax that, and it's not even that bad of a story. But Intel's not really affecting Intel too much here either. But yeah, no, look, Lip Bu Tan got a little bit better price than I did. What a surprise on that one, as we all sit here and wait. He got 95s. That looks like that's a pretty good level there. I got 98s. There on Intel. I like the stock. I think there is runway for it to get back up the upside. I like the packaging side of their business. And obviously, if CEOs in there buying, I think Neil had a good point as well about U.S. government, stuck their neck out and still hold those shares. I think there was a little bit of misunderstanding last week when maybe there was, I think Hassett was talking about maybe selling some shares, but I don't know if that's. Iran has set a deadline of a few weeks.
For full implementation.
Memorandum of understanding by U.S. All right, so now it looks like, all right, so all this back and forth, it looks like now there's going to be a deadline now of a few weeks, right? And so I still think you want
keep kicking the can down the road.
That's what I mean. I don't know if this is not actually solving or doing anything right now. I didn't wear any sunscreen this week, and I got like crazy tanned. You should see it on my watch where my watch band is. But I think if any negativity, we indicated before when we said this was a little bit too far too fast there on oil. And I kind of liked XOM down there at that 200 period. Obviously, it's done quite well off of that level. And right now, it kind of looked like it was in an area of, is that the bananas are here?
Boom.
Chicken samosas.
Chicken samosas? No bacon again.
No eggs, no bacon, no nothing. Okay. Very exciting, very exciting. But anyways, I like XOM at these levels. So let's just wait to see what winds up happening with oil and XOM and CVX and Occidental and so on and so forth as I try to get my voice back after a lot of yelling and screaming. Okay, let's go back over to the desk. It looks like Michael's ready to rock and roll. And hey, man, it's a mystery. We don't know what.
We have no idea what he's going to talk about. It's not gold.
We think it might be crypto at this point.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
We'll wait to see what he's doing. Maybe I have another guess. The VIX. All right. Well, we'll go. Let's go over to Michael and find out what it is.
It is none of those things, but it's something that I think we will all find pretty interesting. Good morning, Michael Nauss. As you can see, everyone's eagerly waiting to hear what you will talk about. Michael Nauss, CMT. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and those were all good guesses, but you guys get the yen carry trade instead. So not as exciting maybe as crypto and all that, but actually it might explain a little bit about what's going on in crypto and everything. So I promise this isn't just for currency traders. I know there's probably some people out there who are short-term or growth traders and are like, man, I don't care about what's going on with the yen. I don't trade it, but bear with me for a second. And shout out, Patrick Boyle. He's a giant YouTuber. He did a topic about this on the weekend and, kind of reminded me that the last time I talked about the yen carry trade with you guys, it was huge. Like the market dropped down, I think like 3 or 4% in a day because of this. And we're seeing some kind of more rumbling. So if you had missed it, just on the next slide is just a bit of a chart of the yen. There was about like a week or so ago, a huge drop that happened in the yen. It was, 3.9%, which I know for us equity traders doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a pretty big deal that happened here. And the reason for this is that the Bank of Japan, plus this time the U.S. government, which is a pretty huge deal, decided to kind of step in and say, okay, we're going to start defending the yen. So the main takeaway here is that the Bank of Japan, they're done getting their currency bullied, and their currency just gets bullied all the time. It gets depressed down to very, very low levels. And that's great if, they're selling things to other parts of the world. But Japan actually buys a lot of its resources. They don't do a lot of oil or anything themselves. They pull a lot of that in. So they're going to start defending this currency. But what does that mean for us? So first, I think with the next slide, we got to talk a little bit about why I think this is hugely important. So the Bank of Japan is the biggest lender to the U.S. It's like $1.24 trillion they own of T-bills, of short-term treasuries in Japan. And, I'll go over why in a second. But the reason that this whole thing is important, and important to the U.S. government in particular, is that if they just all of a sudden wanted to buy back their own currency themselves, and they wanted to raise those funds by selling treasuries, they are going to tank the treasury market, which increases yield. And if we know anything about the current administration, they want this yield down. They want interest rates lower. And if they end up having to sell, it's just going to spike interest rates. And it makes borrowing costs in the States, especially for the government, just like prohibitively expensive. And what are they going to do with that? Who knows? But so this is all a kind of game plan to try to keep these rates lower. So that's the main thing to know, is that's the first reason that it's important, is that if all of a sudden the currency of the yen gets bullied enough and they say that's enough, we need to raise a bunch of money to buy back our own currency, they're going to do so by selling dollars. They're going to do so by selling treasuries. That's going to spike rates. And when rates spike fastly like that, we saw what happened in 2022, right? That actually what kind of caused that sell-off. Now, just what they did quickly, this is just kind of funny, they actually sold yen or euros to buy yen, which, again, it's the weirdest thing that I've ever seen in this kind of currency market. But so what is the yen carry trade? Why is this whole thing important to investors? Well, the Japanese yen and over in Japan, they have historically had zero interest rates to very, very low interest rate. Right now, it's about 1%. And then in the States, somewhere to say 4 or to 5% you can make. So traders kind of look at this as potential free money, where I can go to Japan, I can take out a loan there, and I can pay 1% on the loan, and then I can come to the US and I can convert that money into US dollars, and I can just collect that 3 to 4%. So I make, a nice little spread of 3 to 4% risk-free in large quotation marks forever. And this has been going on for years and years and years. And it's one of those things that why does it continue to work? Because it's kind of just like holding a hand grenade. Like eventually this kind of explodes and whoever is left when they go to convert their money back is going to have a hard time. So if you think about it, as the yen is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, this trade is getting better and better and better. But as soon as the yen changes and gets very expensive, all of a sudden, if I have to convert back, then I have to convert back at a much higher price, and it completely destroys this quote-unquote risk-free trade. And this is the ideal scenario. I'm going to borrow in yen, and I'm going to grab T-bills in the U.S. That's what happens if everyone's being a good boy. And history has told us that everyone's generally not being good. So the next slide is more about what actually happens. So if everyone was behaved nicely, you borrow yen, you buy treasuries. You make that 3 to 4% spread, and everyone's happy. Generally speaking, they borrow yen and they are going to buy risky assets. They're going to buy S&P 500 or QQQs or individual names. And again, that it's one of those things that it works as long as it works. As long as the market goes up and everyone's happy and the yen, continues to get devalued and all of this. But the moment that this reverses and the Bank of Japan says, we're done, we're going to start pushing our currency down, we're going to start maybe even raising interest rates, well, this whole trade has to unwind. And if they're owning risky assets against this borrowed yen and they have to unwind the trade, it's kind of like a long squeeze. Like we all know about a short squeeze where people have to get out of their short position. This is essentially margin in the market where you have to sell your risky asset to undo this trade. And that's why recently, when this happened, was the latest dip in the market. And then also, if you look back, I think it was August 2025, I believe, you had a kind of 2024, thank you. It had a pretty big dip down because of it. That was the last time I came on to talk to you guys about it. So it's just good to kind of remind every day. So why the exit is violent? If they strengthen the yen, again, your loan has become much, much bigger. And maybe it's bigger than the assets that you own. So now you have a loan on one side and you had assets on the other side and you were making this kind of free spread, free money, and that disappears in a moment. And it creates this margin call kind of secular thing where they have to get out and they have to sell the risky assets to buy back their yen loan. And it can kind of, the fear is that if it implodes like so violently and so quickly, you can get this huge spike down in risky assets. You can also get the huge spike down for even the people that were behaving. They have to sell their treasuries. And then, like we talked about before, if they sell their treasuries, the rate goes up and the government can't borrow. So anyone that I'm losing, just saying that if this kind of implodes all in one day, it's going to end up being this moment where everybody has to liquidate everything. You're going to hear about hedge funds shutting down, margin calls. Do we just bounce right back after? Maybe. So it might be a good opportunity for people who are not all invested or don't have margin and are able to weather the storm. But it could be a little bit of a nasty unwind that will happen, like the title says, in days and generally speaking, in not months. So this next chart is what's happening it was August 2024. Thankfully, we kind of had a nice change after it. So we had a 12% one-day move in the Nikkei, and I believe over 3 or 4 days, it was roughly 10 to 15% in the Qs that happened in just a couple days as this thing unwound. Now, thankfully, this was near the end of the bear market when we were coming out in 2024 and then in 2025, and everyone kind of got over it pretty quickly and started talking about AI again, and the market ended up recovering. But for a moment there, it was a really bad time. And I'm more concerned with people maybe who are in on margin and would get, participated in this margin call. Again, it might be an opportunity for those that aren't. So the next slide is just kind of showing what happens to the SPY over the next month and versus what happens when the yen kind of sells off. And you can see that as we kind of move over to the left here, you get a couple kind of really bad events. October 2008, there was a handful of -5, 6% days. Thankfully, even in 2024, we ended up higher again, but it wasn't because of the end unwind. It was kind of in spite of it because everyone was all pumped up about AI stocks and all of that. So that's what's going on. So every time you hear this kind of yen worry, I think you need to be a little bit concerned. There's some more stats here, but I think we kind of got to most of the part where don't just ignore it because it's, you know, a currency in another country that, you know, maybe you don't trade currencies or whatever. Just every time you hear kind of the yen or the yen carry trade, just think about excess margin in the US and excess margin kind of across the world. And we hope that if they are going to continue to try to correct their currency, they do so like they did recently, which was a small 2 to 3% correction. If you're ever seeing 5, 10%, then again, this could get problematic. So we don't know when and if this is going to create an issue, but it's just kind of like a sword of Damocles out there that, you know, I feel like I spend more time than I would like worrying about what's happening to the yen.
So I have a quick question for you here, Michael, and Sharif has a question for you as well, because it's a really interesting topic. So I just want to kind of go back here because August 5th, 2024, you have the drop heard around the world. If I can find, yeah, here we go. So I mean, the Nikkei dropped as well, but we also know that the US market dropped significantly in one day. If you go back to the 2026, though, we had that drop in, this is the yen chart, but we had the drop in the market, I guess, over a period of days. So I guess I'm wondering, do you know if there were any specific factors that made that 2024 drop so different from the 2026 one?
I think there's some confidence in the fact that the US worked with Japan in order to do it. Now, I think the curious thing about that chart is you can start to see the end is kind of creeping back up. And it's one of these, I think there's probably a backdoor meeting, you know, again, no tinfoil hat or anything, where they said, listen, we all know what's going on here. So if we'll help you defend your currency, but we want to do so in a more controlled way. And maybe just having that US participation in it kind of calmed everybody down a little bit. Because it is one of those run for the door moments. And if you're somebody out there, a large hedge fund who's participating in this, you're borrowing in yen and then you're using it to buy risky assets, you are going to be on a hair trigger to get out of this trade, because if you're the first one out, everything's fine. And if you're the last one out, things are going to be problematic. So that's the only thing I can think of that it wasn't as bad, is they only did a couple $2 billion worth. It was more of a signal, I think, than an actual intervention, where they're just saying, we are going to defend our currency here. We believe that our currency, we don't want it to move any lower because we have to buy all this oil and we have to buy all this asset, and oil prices are increasing and all of that. So I think it's just more controlled than it was the last time. Maybe because everyone kind of learned from the last time.
Good to see you, Michael. Happy Monday. So I just had a quick question for you here. I was mulling this through my mind here. So the whole idea is to take a loan out at a lower rate and then deposit that money in a country where it's giving you a higher rate. So it presupposes here that the trade breaks down if the loaning country increases their rate, thereby eating the margin between the loaning country and the deposit country. So my question is, the loans that are being taken out here, I'm assuming they're on a variable rate, which means it's floating. So at any point in time, the rate goes up. The interest rate that I'm borrowing at goes up as well. But the question is anybody taking out loans at a fixed rate and then sort of making a little bit less money, perhaps because they have to pay a little bit higher interest on the fixed rate on the Japanese yen and then making it on the US dollar? Is anybody doing anything like that?
Well, that would be the responsible thing. And it's not so much variable versus fixed. It's, you know how T-bills reset every 3 months. Okay. It's the Japanese equivalent of that. So every 3 months, they're going to go in. Now, the problem is if you go and you lock in your rate for a longer period of time, you pay a higher rate.
Right.
So there are the responsible participants, and they're okay with maybe taking a 2 to 3% on Japanese yen and then loaning that out for maybe 4 to 5%, and just you're lowering your profit margin, but you're going to be less impacted if something happens. But yeah, the people who are doing kind of the 3-month bills in Japan or whatever their short-term rate is versus the short-term rate in the US, when those things roll over. And like you said, there's two things that can happen. It's the yen can, they can defend their currency or raise rates, but it can also, the other side could cause it. If we did have a prolonged bear market or an equity crash or a really dramatic rate cut. So say if, I was going to say JPOW, but it's WARSH now, just came out and slashed rates 2% out of the blue, that could also create this problem as well, where that we just did the other side as opposed to Japan going up, the US went down.
Right. All right. Thanks for that, Michael.
Great to have you on again, Mr. Michael Nauss, for a very thorough deep dive into the Japanese yen and that yen carry trade. We'll see you again on Friday morning. Michael Nauss, CMT, here with us every Monday and Friday around 8:30 a.m. over at statsedge.com. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Michael. It almost feels like
A lot of
the little worry mongering. Okay, it's not worry mongering, but enough of it that maybe this was dropping the market a little bit here. And obviously, most of it was going to be USO bouncing a little bit higher. But there is the SPY did manage to go red. The Nasdaq actually pulled back a little bit here while we were discussing this. And look, there's a reason why, and not to belabor the point, but there is a reason why the U.S. was engaged in that last defense of the end. And again, they did that, and they did so by selling euros because they didn't want to actually sell U.S. to do so. So they sold some euros. They got to make sure that they manage the amount that they're paying on their debt and controlling treasuries. And you can't have the Japanese selling U.S. treasuries. That's what they didn't want. So it's something that we'll keep that you have to keep in mind because, as Michael said, in the back burner, if there are major shifts, you could have a swath of selling, which has been buying opportunities oftentimes. But I don't think that's too much of a concern in the front end looking at this week, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's always good to Michael to highlight those things. So when you do hear about it, you can have some food for thought at the dinner table when you and your family are discussing the Japanese yen carry trade. We always do. Right there. But right now, I'm seeing a lot in the chat that people have all these right reads, right setups, but they just have the wrong size. Well, here's the truth. You've got the skills, and your account is unfortunately just too small. Well, Trade Funder can change all of that. They'll give you $100 grand for stocks, 25 for options right now, today, and you keep 80%, and it's paid every Friday. So you never risk losing your own money. It's just $99 to start, and it's refunded on your first qualifying payout. You can now start in an hour, so get going right now before the market opens. No evaluation, no background checks, just you and the size you've been missing. Scan the code on your screen and join tradefunder.com. You can, of course, choose, as we were just mentioning there, stocks or options to go with Trade Funder. And, you know, getting that $99 to start with, 100 grand in your account, I think that's decent and paid out every Friday. So go check them out. Trade Funder, 80% is quite nice for sure. Yeah, look, I wrote down the sticky notes now out too. I wrote down TQs for the short now. I mean, unfortunately, it's just starting to break down. And, you know, the 5-minute range, we are, you know, landing on $77, which, you know, is a good little level there with your 50 period and your 200 period looking like it's trying to cross up a little bit there. But I only wrote down maybe a short at VWAP. Let's see if this can get back upside near where this sort of fall started to happen. We still have, you know, quite a long time before these imbalances hit, before the market even thinks about opening up. So still got 45 minutes. We did have, obviously, the little bit of a negative talk in the market that was starting to send oil upside, and then it came back in, and now it's just back near the highs again, and that was that Iran was going to take more of an offensive stance versus defensive stance moving forward. Now, enough is enough, I guess, from that, as far as they're concerned. So we'll have to wait to see if USO has any sort of a battle off. But I was going to let this market open up and then see. There's also news right now about OpenAI and Nvidia and stuff. It's not really affecting any of these stocks for the last time I checked. Just OpenAI is using an Nvidia stack, and you know we already know that anyways. But coming off on the imbalances right now, there's really nothing of any sort of significance on here. Is that Flutter? No, FLTR. What is FLTR? Why is it on the Why is it on the Amex? FLTR.
It is
VanEck floating rate ETF. So it's nothing to do with anything. Big Bear AI, what's that up to? 326 right now. Not doing a whole heck of a lot on that stock. Their StubHub's been hit pretty good recently. Oh yes, Randy. I just heard some coffee being dropped in the back there. That is StubHub. Thank you, Randy.
Appreciate it.
For that. Look, annual or daily look, I should say, not annual look. We haven't looked at Tesla in a minute, but it's had a nice little base there. At not even a base. Nice move down there, Randy, into 300. Now back up to 340. So nice little 10+% move there in the last little while. I mean, obviously it's gotten kicked down the road as well. That's Tesla. Trying to figure out what Tesla and SpaceX eventually means for both sets of shareholders right there. You're coming up to 340. That's going to be a key level. And then the name that you always talk about is, of course, because it's part of your name here, Rivian Randy. coming out. This name's been getting hit as well, but still basing. You know, they're all kind of just hovering around. This might be a good one there for Rivian. We know all their numbers, starting to kick out some more. What anything you're hearing on the R2 deliveries or anything like that? Nothing really yet? Okay, so we'll just wait to hear back.
What about the automated driving? Like, apparently they're stepping up their game, and
hopefully,
they're not quite at FSD level, but Rivian's making some good progress. Oh, that's right, software deal with Volkswagen as well. But yeah, Rivian, maybe another test of this 15 is looking like it's in line. So if Randy's not defending it, you better watch out, everybody, because that could be a little bit dangerous there on Rivian. Oh, another name. While we're sort of talking about EVs, it is worth mentioning. Remember the Yi almost going bankrupt? We're not going bankrupt. We are going bankrupt. We're not going bankrupt. We're squeezing. No, it's not squeezing anymore. Yeah, Lucid is pulling back into a pretty significant signal level. So that should be worth watching. And if you remember, it was, what day was this? It was on the 14th. There was the rumor of that they would be looking at strategic alternatives. One of them could have been potentially bankruptcy. That was immediately denied. It then went on a multi-day squeeze as the supposed shorts got caught with their pants down on that story. But it is, I don't want to call it a flat bottom break, but it is just sort of resting off of a 6 support. Not really a catalyst with it today, but just something that's in the back of the mind for this week that if Lucid loses $6, could be dangerous. When, hey, you know what? You mentioned the imbalance, but you were talking about, obviously, the imbalances for the open. Let's not forget Reddit. Remember, Reddit's going into the S&P 500 tonight. So we are expecting it's flat today. The move happened, like the big move was it gapping and moving, last week on Friday. But, they're going to S&P tonight. Should expect some fireworks in the last hour of the day, or at least the last half an hour of the day for Reddit. So that should be a big one. And there's that Nvidia story. We just throw that one up there. OpenAI commitment represents roughly $600 billion of Nvidia compute through 2030. And again, if it was moving Nvidia much, we'd let you guys know. Nvidia's, for now, a little bit better than the market. Not too much. It's got a nice little run in it lately. It's going to have to hold on to that 222 level from Wednesday on any kind of a dip. But yeah, don't forget about that Reddit going into the S&P 500. I wish they would just always do it on a Friday. It's like, just do all these additions on a Friday, because Monday, you almost forget about it when it's Monday at the close. But that's going to be a big one, Reddit.
Yeah, and there's the talk about the Nvidia that one was on a run was AMD, actually. Forget about Nvidia. I mean, AMD, didn't it get down to like 440 or something like that? Something ridiculous. Yeah, those are those crazy bottoms anyways. But yeah, 440 back up to 511 I just saw? Yeah, so what another, it's down right here, but that was at 520 earlier today as well. So if we think that the market's going to rebound back, like AMD has been like a really, loved stock once it gets going. It's like those machines just turn on. Like on Friday, we got as low as 480, and then before we even stopped, it back right to these levels again, 510, 511, bouncing, closing. Now, actually, this is a very interesting chart setup to me. Nice move down, trying to base out here. If the market rebounds, man, let's get some AMD in our life, because that's going to pop through these levels big time. Advanced Micro Devices. That name, that might just need to be owned and just bought on every dip. It has a lot of comeback ability, it seems like, in that name, AMD. What's up, Tisha? Yeah, IPST, we indicated that a little bit earlier today. Sharif and Joe, yeah, Joe's not here today, but room to 987. Yeah, we can always zoom this back out. This is the thing, like, we're all so well trained to sort of zoom out here and look. That is 980, 990, $10 right up into there. Looks like the high is 1076 right there on IPST. Trying to break through this little level, 650. Good base right there, 650. Like, you get any love back in. It's not even that far from that right now. What is it, 7 and change? So there's your 650, and there's the break right there through that level. So VWAP hovering around 670. I think that's going to be a good little level if it does fall back into that. Look for that hold, and then maybe do you throw in the towel if it gets to 550? Do you wait for 5 to break? I think this is a good area to maybe pick up some IPST there today. And, good super chat right there. It looks like we got it going just a little bit, 750 up to 8. Wow. You drop that super chat there, and this thing just drops. It just moves up right now. Look at this. Nice move right now on IPST as the bots are watching Trader TV Live, man. They're in there buying this thing up right now, looking like it wants to break that top. We'll see what happens here, 850. Remember, it doesn't halt in the pre-market. So IPST really starting to get going here. And if we just type it in, IPST, we try to figure out what exactly is going on with this one. Earnings in 11 days from now. That's IP Strategy Holdings.
Look at the float.
Friday, August. Yeah, the float is 700,000. It's already done 32 million. Forget about the short float percentage, only 1% here. No real stories, but there must be something.
I couldn't find it.
IP Strategy here in pre-market. No, it just says it's just moving higher right now. So there it goes, man. Probably there's going to be a story here for sure, but it is the mover of the morning, taking out that $8 and trying to get a little higher. High of the pre-market right here, 850 IPST. So good little shout out there from Tisha. Thanks for doing that. And now we'll have to wait to see if it can hold these levels. Love this, not down here, 5,550. We'll see if that's a key level or not. But you got to work your way back if you're getting into 5. So good call out on the stretch of this, up to 950. Definitely something there. This is a definite reverse split in October from 50 cents up to, I guess it was probably $10 right there. Yeah, 50 cents to $10. You get 20 for 1 there. It looks like another split right here, 37 up to, yeah, 5, 6. That was probably another 20 or so to 1.
Yeah, 1 to 20 both.
And did it just? That's $2. That's today's move, so that's not going to be a split. But there it goes, man. Nice days for IPST. So watch out for that one. And then we're going to go through our rundown. We have lots going on. SpaceX will be there as well. Not really doing a whole heck of a lot right now. SpaceX actually looking like the market. Market falls down, baseline right now for SpaceX. So yeah, keep the chats going, man. We have them all written. We have it all written here, a consolidated feed. I'll pop it out. Anybody that's on YouTube or on TikTok, there it is right there. You know, shout out to Jay that's here with us this morning. Seal Gray, there's Tisha Perkins, there's Brantz there as well. So anybody that's from TikTok will show up on this feed as well. So say hi if you are on any other platform, or even if you are on YouTube. Yeah, hola, whatever you want to do, ciao, anything like that. Let us know where you're from and, you know, how's life where you're living. It's pretty good around here. There's your boy Kenneth Walker. Oh no, that's his What's Up, Neil.
K9 baby.
That's Kenneth Zaw coming through there. Now Kenneth Walker, of course, on your Arch.
I know,
team.
it sucks. But
what do Bills fans? I think they do. I still think the Patriots are the most hated.
Oh, of course.
I mean, you know, the thing is, the Chiefs have ruined life in the AFC Finals the last little while. There's Yeti. Yeti is always here, so shout out to Yeti as well there. And then there's Jay. Yeah, Neil's got his wine Yeti. We've got this one there. I'm double fisting the coffees right here, right now. I want to drink this one first.
You got to do this one first because this one's gonna stay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is a good one.
Yeti knows what's up. The Yeti is the product that is entirely too good. And before we throw back up to the desk, every single time that we bring these bad boys up, it is worth noting. Oh shoot! What happened to Yeti?
You gotta buy some now, Neil.
Oh wow! Now it's at the 200 period moving average. What did they report last week? They probably reported on Friday. We didn't even care because no one really cares about Yeti stock. But it had been performing really well. At least recently, it had been performing kind of well. But let us know where you guys are from. I see a lot of this morning. We had a lot of Canadian viewers tuning in, letting us know that they were dropping in, and we just had Roll in there saying shout out from Belgium. There you go. Yes, so viewers all the way from Belgium. That'd be a fun place to visit. Have a brew somewhere. But it's almost 9 o'clock, so let's throw it back up to the desk. We got to get into our free FREE watch list. Some movers and shakers on that for you. And we'll also talk a little bit of the futures, which are trying to bounce.
Yeah.
The S&P is at 0.00 right now, so literally flat as we closed out. 776 1/3 is exactly where we are. That's where we closed out on Friday. We're above that key area of technical support. Prior resistance, 775 is the level I'm talking about. So it looks like we made our way pretty close to that 780 level, with the all-time high coming in at 779 1/3. So clear area of resistance is going to be that $10 level at 780. Our first level of support is going to be 775. If we can hold that, let's see if we can. If we miss that, Adara, we're looking at 772.5 as support level 2.
You definitely don't want to miss our free Trader TV Live watch list, FREE free. As Neil said, you can find this by either clicking the link in the description or typing the URL you're going to see on your screen. What do you get for free with this watch list? You get a whole look at the stocks we're looking at, any economic events in focus, any numbers that are going to be in play, any earnings before or after the bell. So much to look at there for free. And then, of course, we take you through the rundown or through the watch list during our morning rundown here at 9 a.m. Starting today with SPCX, SpaceX. You've got Google, Nvidia, AMD, Harvard, Citadel, among the many, many groups, companies, or firms that have announced stakes in SpaceX. Some of these stakes pretty massive as well in their 13F filings for Q2 2026.
Exactly right, Adair. The one that I'm going to cover here is going to be Nvidia, a big one here, almost $21 billion investment, 20.98. That was at the highs. More on that in a second. They have about 122.75 million shares of SpaceX. Alongside, they've got another $30 billion position in Intel, but that's neither here nor there. But this wasn't bought directly in the open market. It actually has a lot to do with the investment that they made into XAI before the merger of XAI and SpaceX. It was done through that special purpose vehicle back in 2025. It was folded, of course, into SpaceX. And now they've got about, as I mentioned, 122.76 million shares. $21 billion at the high, but that's about $10 billion in unrealized gains. But when you look, at the recent price, it's more along the lines of about $17.3 billion as opposed to 20 now that sold off a little bit. This makes Nvidia, though, the 6th largest institutional shareholder of SpaceX, so a sizable amount there. But let's just be honest about it. The reciprocal kind of nature, or you want to call it the circularity, however you want to kind of categorize it, it does create a bit of a balance sheet feedback loop, right? Where you're getting SpaceX taking a bulk of their money, going and buying GB300s or the Vera Rubin, right? And then, of course, that inflates NVIDIA's top line. NVIDIA then takes that money and, invests it in SpaceX or Intel or wherever it wants to invest it in the AI stack. And, a lot of people I know this is a SpaceX story, but I feel like I have to bring this up. After that that huge raise last week with the banks and Nvidia, some people are calling Nvidia like the AI bank now, right? Where it's because they really need to push their products out there. The amount of money that's out there in the market is really drying up to buy their products. They want to keep charging more for it, and they're trying to look for financiers wherever they can get it, Adara.
Yeah, and I think to zoom out here just for SpaceX, we will talk some more Nvidia down the line, as you guys can see with SPCX. They went public via IPO 5/6 of the way through Q2. So I think these Q3 13Fs are also going to be really interesting once they have a full quarter of being a public company for different firms and companies to continue to react to. So interesting look here for SpaceX. You guys looking at this name, I'm sure, today.
Yeah, of course it'll get looked at. But I think the other thing to keep in mind is kind of goes back to not just the Nvidia aspect of it, but like Alphabet with a large stake. And then if you don't just talk about SpaceX, you also throw in like Anthropic. A lot of the earnings, a good number of the earnings beats were propped up by equity stakes for the big cap tech names. So that's something to keep an eye on, because in subsequent quarters, if we do see a bit of a pullback, or as Anthropic become public and we react to this, or as SpaceX matures, it's going to be important to note that you might not always have those gains on the back end. That being said, like most of these stakes are in places where you don't expect there to be sellers. There is another tranche, a lockup expiring this week on Thursday, and then the next one is in September. I want to say I think it's second week of September. There's another tranche that will come up for lockup. So those are going to be ones that you want to pay attention to. For now, 150, like the IPO open price has held as resistance. Although that's not the first place I would look today. It's still going to be that 145. Like Friday, the plan of action was if it can break out clean 145, just go long. It didn't. It rejected 44. So I think that resistance is still intact, at least for now. Here on SpaceX. So any kind of failure underneath 145 is a short spot, but I still think that 45 is a breakout. We saw a brick wall there in the pre-market on Thursday at 45, and then at 44 there on Friday. So if it can get through this, I think it's got some explosive. I mean, at least to 150, and then take it by, just take it step by step from there.
Yeah, I don't really today for right now. I don't have it written on the note. I don't really see like for me, much on SpaceX. I mean, the fact that it's flat today, you know, we just get all that new reporting. I mean, we know that there's huge investors in this name. I mean, you know, the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan's largest investment of all time was SpaceX. They turned like $94 million into like a couple $1 billion or something like that. So, you know, Nvidia, some of these other organizations, we're definitely in it, you know, pre-IPO, and now I feel like they're just getting some more shares. So, yeah, I don't think that anything really changes in what we think for SpaceX here. It's going to be a longer-term story, but it is nice to see, and I think that everybody, you know, like myself, that's long this in our own portfolios, it's nice to know that there is some of that sort of corporate backing there, and you know, some bigger money that will be coming in and hopefully buying up some of these dips. I mean, often we see program trading on SpaceX, and now I guess maybe we find out why. You know, some of these big funds, they put buy orders in, and traders just trade it, and you know, they buy as many shares as they can and get them into the account. So I just look at SpaceX and, like, you know, when the selling is there, and you know, just take the other side of it. You can really tell, I feel like, when the buyers come through. So SpaceX is going to be another hopefully great stock to trade again today, but just not really setting up for any levels for me. So I think it's just a wait and see what winds up happening. You know, on Friday we wrote down some of these levels, which wound up breaking down. I think it was 138, maybe even. We didn't look at 140. That was too much of a. But I think we might have saw that there was some sort of levels there, and I think we might have tried the long, and then it broke out, and then eventually we had this, and we had it. We went to the gym. We had this the whole way, all the way back upside, and that's when we put on that. You know, I think it was $3 or $4 back up to the upside. But look, it gave us the trade once it finally based out there, just like it gave the short there. You know, so I'm trying to look for those kind of levels to sort of show up. And right now, I would say 139.50, but obviously we know it's early days. With only 24 minutes now before the market opens up, you're not going to see anything on here until 9:25. And we know that SpaceX is a, you know, predominant mover at the open and at the close. So definitely we'll react to some of this. Like maybe there's a huge buy that comes in right off the open. The good thing about putting in market on close and market on open orders is it's not really to affect the overall liquidity situation of the stock. That's why they have it there. So if you see an order on here for, you know, this Cloudflare, this net for 300,000 shares to sell, that's going to pair off right at the open in one print, and then the market's going to react. So sometimes because it's a sell, you know, you'll get, and I, you know, hope there it goes. This is ticking down, but you'll get a down tick because they know it's a sell, and then when it's done, it'll get back to the upside. So SpaceX is going to have to deal with that straight off the open, and we'll see where it winds up going. I want to stay bullish on the name. I think Neil's right. That 150 is a good level. We played a game last week when Neil wasn't here. I was just like 150 or 130. It actually got to both without printing either one of them. So it literally got to 130.50 and it got to 149.70 or something.
Which is pretty close.
Yeah, so it was up and down like that 15% pretty easily in just a couple of days. So we'll have to wait to see what the story holds today for SpaceX. What an interesting name. And you can play it with Rocket Lab or AST Mobile or something like that. But I don't, you know, for me, it's the look is always in SpaceX.
No Sidu.
SPCX.
I joke, I say no Sidu.
Oh, I think
no Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, don't put an E at the end instead of an S.
We're just gonna ignore Virgin Galactic, the greatest space company of all time. Coming off of just an absolute rapid uptake from $2.50 up to $3.30 and still wanting more and more and more. Let's go talk about a real company with Google.
Yeah, Google here. This is another 13F related move. Now, we already know from their earnings report last week that Berkshire Hathaway had a stake in Google. It's the sizing and the growth of the stake in Google that's really interesting. They have both GeoOGL and GeoOG, and both positions actually growing on a quarter-over-quarter basis.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, I think this is a buy right here. I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle. I'm going to cover the debt raising here, this time in the Australian dollar, as they have done in many currencies. You'll see in a second. So $3.6 billion is what they're looking to raise in the Australian dollar. They've hired banks to prepare a debut offering in the AUD to fund ongoing AI investments. The notes may be sold across 4 distinct maturities. They're going to reach up to about 20 years each. But this is following, of course, a recent $25 billion bond issuance, an $85 billion equity raise, and now they've raised debt, Adira, in 2026 in the Swiss franc, the British pound, the euro, the Canadian dollar, and the Japanese yen, add the Australian dollar to that.
Yeah, lots of money being raised. Either way, Berkshire Hathaway's betting on them right now. How do you guys feel about GOGL here?
You know what? It's finally happening. After they got that kind of rapid pullback with the C-suite shakeup, there's a bit of a bounce happening on Alphabet here. So it made a low. It held a higher low Thursday and Friday. So this actually looks a little bit more constructive. You still want to break out of 350. Otherwise, you'll maybe look at that higher low at 344. But it's been finding a way to settle down after A, report, B, C-suite shakeup, losing a little bit of talent. Obviously, that's something that's going to happen to the big boys every now and then. But I like the fact that it has at least made a bottom. It needs to break 350. That'll be the 50-period moving average as well. But this seems like it's back into the potential upswing. I don't know that we're going to get. I mean, you can call it a test of the 200-period moving average, but I think it's closer to breaking the 350 for us today than anything else. It didn't make the list. Like we'll talk some chips in a second because, yeah, I mean most of the things that are actually moving more than the market are in chip land. But this is one to visit. If all of a sudden we're breaking away from 350, it should be more of a join trade. But like Apple before it, it's more or less, it's 0.3, the NASDAQ's 0.3. There's nothing that stands out here with Google to make it a focus at 930. Otherwise, maybe we'd like it a bit more. But I do want to see every single time when you have these kind of big drops, they could be up moves, down moves, but in this case it was a down move, finally settling in and didn't hold a low there, but has held a low. There's your higher low. The next confirmation would be a 350 breakout on Google. I'm just not sure the catalyst is there.
I was just thinking about Google as well. Like I still feel that there's a little bit of risk, to the ever increasing compute costs, of running these LLMs. I think that's a little bit of a risk. We saw them finally a little bit of a compression there in margins. We saw that debt raise as Sharif had just mentioned there. I think there are some actual legitimate headwinds, legal, regulatory headwinds as well for these guys. The sort of saturation of large language models and the competition as far as cloud is concerned, that's definitely not going anywhere. If anything, it's ramping up. Obviously, AWS and Azure, major player and major. There's room for enough. I'm just trying to give some headwinds. Google and Nvidia, the two largest holdings that I have, but those are some headwinds I feel like. And then sort of where does search go from here? We know that they've done a good job of sort of avoiding those blue links and that everybody clicks on, for Google, and they've been able to work out deals with Reddit and so on and so forth to get, some of that information where people are searching with the large language models. But at the end of the day, I still think that search, the way that the ad, sales and all that kind of works is in jeopardy a little bit. Didn't like the fact that they had their first quarter of free cash flow issues there. They were free cash flow negative. That's not a good sign for Google. It's now 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty much, a bad week and a half there for them, but they're coming off of highs, so it's not a surprise. And they lost some key holders in the last couple of weeks as well. We heard some engineers and some different participants leaving the company. So it's not without its worries, but again, they have so much working for them also. The Waymo and the cloud is huge. The cloud is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Nothing wrong with being in a business that's saturated as long as you're still keeping your margins up and, getting that business to come through. And with a PE of, we did this last week, I thought it was in the 22s or something like that. Let's have a quick look at what exactly it was. It's even less than that. Google's PE is 16 and 17. So these are the ones that, we were really surprised at how low it was last time we checked. So a little bit of worries, right? You don't get Google at a 16 or 7, let's just say 17 forward and current PE if there wasn't a little bit of worry in the name. So yeah, I'm slightly worried. I'm not going to be adding at these levels for myself here. I'm trying to stay. And remember, I'm only in 3% cash or even less than that. But I want to try to save a little bit of it for moves lower. And I think Google could have it now. But I still love the stock, and it's still obviously a huge holding. But those are just some headwinds. We always talk about the positivities for Google. I just think there are some potentials for this stock to get turned upside down a little bit here. And if it is, we'll buy it. I last bought it at 320. I think if we get back down there, it's not a horrible situation again. So yeah, anyways. ChatGPT, Gemini, the new Siri. Wonder if we got those fly traps in yet.
Nope.
But I could have just got some at the dollar store
I'm
literally
guessing no,
yesterday or this morning, or maybe I'll go there during lunch. I'm sure they'll come in there. Amazon,
eventually.
always delivering. We got a new.
We haven't talked to Amazon.
We got the Ninja, some sort of a. What do you call those things? Not a microwave, like a fryer, air fryer.
Oh, the air fryer.
Yeah, double barrel one, so you can put like
nice.
this and that and that and this. You do like the wings in one, and the sweet potato fries in another, or something like that.
That's the way to go.
We realized that like my son doesn't like sweet potato fries, but everybody else does. So it's like dividing them up.
Who doesn't like sweet potato fries?
Yeah, these guys many issues.
Oh, come on. Everybody likes sweet potato
I think eventually. I think just because they're softer, like depending on how they're made. I don't know.
Oh, you could. Yeah,
I'm a sweet potato fry.
You got to get it perfect. You get the crisp on the outside, but it's still that nice.
Yeah.
Like
So that's why we got to try that in the
just right. But Nvidia is not making any sweet potato fries.
No, maybe they should. Maybe
they should get into that business too. But they're making deals apparently.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, I didn't quite know how to put that in shorthand here, but there's this NVDA story with OpenAI. First, it was reported by The Information. So I think going back to Friday, that NVIDIA was close to providing roughly $100 billion in credit support for a Ohio AI data center campus. Then around 8:30 a.m., NVIDIA does appear to confirm this deal with OpenAI, but there are a couple caveats here that are of interest.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you're seeing the quantum drop here from 250 to 150 billion dollars. You can make the argument, that maybe he doesn't want to put all his concentration risk into one company. You're seeing also a lot more of a relationship develop between Grok and NVIDIA. This is something that's a little bit new with Elon Musk saying that he's only going to use NVIDIA chips, and then of course the reciprocal kind of love coming back from Jensen. This is interesting, Adara, because to me, OpenAI started this whole thing. They were the part of Project Stargate with that $500 billion spend. This kind of started the CapEx cycle that we're in the midst of right now. So let's see exactly which horse they champion. But we're hearing a lot about Anthropic, possibly hearing or reaching $200 billion ARR by next year. That would significantly exceed OpenAI. And if that's going to actually be the case, then it would make sense, maybe some of the dollars find their way there. Let's see.
Yeah, lots I think can watch, of course, for that circular AI investing story. Are you guys looking to play NVIDIA today?
Actually, look, Intel's in play, and we'll get to SMCI in a second, because that was like the one chip stock that was actually red this morning. But for NVIDIA, I think it's worth at least not ignoring the pattern from Thursday and Friday, which was if it has a topping tail, failed breakout at 227 on the 15-minute, there's a topping tail there, and then 226 half becomes resistance. There's a topping tail right at the open, fails a break of 227, and then 227 becomes resistance. So I think that's at least in play. If I see it put in a topping tail candle again, confirm the sellers, and then look to be short underneath the 227 at some later point. But if you're looking for a topping tail on the 15-minute candle, well, then I'm sitting out the first 15 minutes on NVIDIA by default and looking towards some other names. Intel with Litboo buying shares. I like the 100 level. I feel like that's it's already testing the 102, 103. So if it bounces from there, I'd be looking more at the volume weighted average price. Sure, let's do it this way. It's underneath VWAP, so it's already showing you that we're retesting the prior support from Friday. So the 100 level I like. If we're going to be bouncing higher, I'd want to see some kind of a VWAP retrace. And then the one chip name that was down was SMCI, and this one feels technical. So it has a huge rally after their earnings, but then on Thursday failed right at the end of the day, couldn't really break away from 40, and then see false breakouts at 40 multiple times on Friday. So any pop and fade, 40-50 would be the kind of the reverse spot where you give up, or maybe 60s. But anywhere into the mid, the 40 halves, I should say, is going to be a fade for me on SMCI. Ooh, Cleater, super chat.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a minute. I have NVIDIA here, 225 area long. I mean, it was up here versus the market and still is. So you're still double, right? 0.53 versus 0.24. So we like it. And then the key zone, from Friday in and around that 225. So if we do somehow drop in, let's just play it until it breaks. That low is 224.50. Would like to see it come in the first couple of minutes, base out, and then get higher. So, I'm a little bit short on the market taste. That was what that question was there. I talked about it on the TQQs. I wrote down the TQQs short at 78 area, and that was just like a VWAP level there. The market, when it was falling back in, I was thinking to myself, there really isn't, and Neil and I said it was pretty light on the board today as far as like big, huge stories that might move the market. So the NASDAQ has been sort of struggling behind the ES. The ES turned red. The NASDAQ really hasn't turned red yet. It was close enough to doing that right there. So for me, I am looking short. You know, the market's making lows, made a low there, and, you know, we didn't, you know, retake any highs. I think as long as, and this is like something that I should just ask like a large language model, I wonder how often we start underneath VWAP that the day actually remains underneath it, or do we generally climb back up? I mean, that's what volume weighted average price is. It's just like, where are we starting the day and where will we wind up, right? So the NASDAQ's had a nice little run up there, almost into these highs. So without like that little earnings push, now that we're pretty much through, we just got to wait for Nvidia to come through. Broadcom's another late one to report. I don't even know when Nvidia reports. It must be in the next 2 weeks, I think. But up to 740, 750. So for me, you're asking for key levels just for today. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at 734 where VWAP is to see if we retake that. And I think if you can get out, 734.50 would basically be the top there. That was, you know, we made that drop. We battled back. We stayed there for about 20 minutes. Then we lost it. Then we battled a little bit. Then we lost it again. You know, so I would say this is a decent area right into here to look short. And that's what I'm going to try to do today, unless something dramatically changes. Like here comes the push down and we have 4 or 5 minutes until we get those imbalances again. But thank you for the super chat. You know, looking at a longer time frame, these are the tops I'm talking about. So just see about breaking it. And I don't know if there's enough news in the store, if there's enough news in the market today to create a different look, but I'm going to go short right now. And remember, USO hasn't been a direct driver of anything really lately. You saw that move happen there on the defensive versus offensive statement, and it's come all the way back in. It's not like they've changed that stance. It's just coming back in. So I think we just got to focus on some of the bigger names today when we're looking at the NASDAQ, like the Apples. I mean, we haven't even looked at Microsoft in the last little while, but it's hovering around this 500. So, you know, if that continues to break, I got a bad tick there. But, you know, look what this is down, 0.63. So Microsoft's not helping any indexes today either. But I'm going to clean that wick up and send it back there. And then let's go find out, Adair, were we able to figure out anything on Snapchat?
Nope. So there is a story here in SNAP. However, it's a week old. I was seeing, though, a lot of people in social media attribute this to the drop. So what we're talking about here is Snapchat going, I think, 14 to 16% to the downside before recovering quite nicely, currently stalling at 525s. But yeah, Sharif, I mean, on August 10th, we had this 9th Circuit Court ruling regarding Section 230 defense for some of these social media companies, including Snapchat. Yeah,
including Snapchat, exactly. We covered it that day more as a meta story, of course, because it's a much bigger market cap. But essentially what the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said was you can use Section 230, but only as an affirmative defense once litigation has started. You can't use it to prevent litigation from being brought in the first place. A distinct difference there because it exposes you, of course, to the discovery process where you have to give up a lot of proprietary information at the risk, of course, of being found in contempt if you don't comply. So that's the deal here. But there was also some selling, Adara, into this print. The CTO sold about $21.6 million. Now, we already knew about this, right? He sold between August 5th and August 6th. But the implication here is there's insider selling because they're worried about the legal implications of this lack, I guess, Section 230 defense or lack thereof at this particular time. But I also want to point out a stark difference between the paths the courts are taking here. So Meta actually got a win last week, a Section 230 dismissal, but it was specifically for an ad or fraud ad kind of situation. What was it? So it was a fraudulent ad lawsuit. And they said, look, you are not responsible for the, I guess, the false claims that your advertiser is putting on your platform. Where the courts have kind of diverged, though, from that kind of thinking is anything with respect to the platform's mechanics. They're making a distinct difference between what others are putting on your social media platform and how you structure it internally. They're not willing to give you the claim there. Now we already know there's over 3,000 consolidated school districts who are suing the combined social media platforms, whether Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, you take your pick there, and they're actually seeking millions of dollars. What they're saying they spent on mental health, counseling, disciplinary resources, Adara, so it's pretty wide-ranging.
Yeah, and I think as you kind of described it there, I think there's also very much the argument that the Snapchat move is just a reaction to this ongoing series of concerns about the company. Regardless, SNAP, is this guy on your guys' playbook for today? Do you think we actually go green here?
Well, it's on the radar. Whether it goes green, I'd be skeptical. But look, it feels like it could have also just been a technical breakdown, because if you have all of those underlying concerns, you come into an obvious level, and my head's in the way, but if I move it down, you can kind of see on the 15-minute. We've been, for 2 weeks now, you've had this $5.20 bit of a shelf, and it ends up breaking in the pre-market, and I guess there was just no buyers down there, and by the time everyone realized there was no story that was this morning, you catch a nice bid. So I think this sets up a really good over-under. Like, I'm very open-minded about Snapchat today, because look where it's consolidating. If it simply breaks down, then I think there's a gap fill lower. The problem is, because of how far it already fell, you kind of feel like you're not going to get that kind of a move if it ends up being a short. It'd be more exciting if it were to break out at this point, because maybe it traps some people. But if we close the first 15 minutes under that 15, it's like 15.50, 15.15 is the low. And I think there's maybe continuation at least into the 5.490. Man, if it starts breaking out, there's room to 5.50 today. I hope it breaks out, but ultimately I'm just willing to play any consolidation above or below what was the key support level. Had this not happened, this random move that no one was expecting, this was set up for a flat bottom break, but it's no longer really that, because we've already seen the move happen. So we'll have to wait for this one to have the opening range. But play the chips at the beginning of the day. At least at the open will be what I'm looking at a little bit more heavily, maybe a little beyond meat if it decides to break down like it didn't on Friday. But yeah, Snapchat, I'll wait for the opening range. Kind of a weird story. And I guess if you ever see something like that again, where there is no story, and then you start to see a buy program, maybe it's worth it just hopping in when there was literally no reason for it. Uh-oh, I just saw a name on the imbalances.
Yeah, I mean, the imbalances came and went. I mean, they're not too huge. Just Rivian was the biggest one, and it did make a move from 15.30 down to 15. Right there, there's really nothing else. IBIT with a small sell, but we know the imbalances don't affect that. Intel with a buy, so that's nice. So we was going to put that on the list there today, but didn't because I wasn't sure. But I do like Intel long. And then SpaceX was here for like there it is right there, 100. Now it's 244, so a slight buy. There it is, now 190. So look at that. I mean, this is why we talk about it. This is only 2 minutes in, right? So the market was here at 136.50, and then there's $1 up. As we said, SpaceX always seems to be somewhat, there's Nvidia showing up as well on here. But yeah, these aren't huge numbers to come out with right now. Look, Neil just talked about Snapchat. Let's go. With only 2 minutes left, let's go talk about some memory names, and then we'll get this trading going.
Yeah, well, it's interesting here. These memory names all in focus, but it's actually an Apple story here. That's the reason why. So we have Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick coming out and saying, yeah, Apple will not be allowed to use these Chinese memory companies. That's leading to a move up here for some of these U.S. memory plays. But I think probably lots of contention here.
He says there have to be, quote, other solutions to the memory issue, but it's not great. American companies using Chinese memory. All right, well, then give them a solution. Yeah. Howard, I mean, what do you want to do here? We already saw SK Hynix speed up the production of their new fab in of course, South Korea from 2030 to 2028. They're spending $730 billion. They're bringing it up by 2 years. I mean, if there's no supply, what are we supposed to do? Yeah, and I think also it's interesting too, Howard Lutnick was literally at an Apple facility in Houston last week. So I think Howard Lutnick and comments he's made about Apple over the years have always been pretty fascinating. Either way here, guys, memory names. I mean, I have the Apple chart up, but we'll look at MU, SNDK, pulling back a little bit from the highs, but still poised to open higher here. Are you guys playing these memory names today?
DRAM will be in play. Look, I think when it comes to this memory thing, just try to remember that you still have the backdrop of U.S. and China needing to come to some kind of a longer-term agreement or arrangement, which just doesn't seem like it's happening just yet. And thank you for Reds. Thank you for the gift there. You're asking about Apple. We did talk about Apple, and of course that's a part of this story. You would think there'd be some weakness that they can't go for some cheaper memory. But thank you for that. And ultimately, it's not really weighing on Apple stock this morning either. But if you look at the memory names just in general, MU is trying to break out over the 50 period. It hasn't really done so yet. It needs to get through 10-10. But when I look at what's going on over in DRAM, that's at the 50 period and set up. All it has to do is, if it can just hold this gap on any pullback, the prior high. I think it's got a nice one to go. It's about 58.80. And then Willis Addison, thank you for the super chat. Grand Rising Traders, USO to 130 today, perhaps. Well, it's not doing much. We've just kind of seesawed back and forth. So unless we get some headlines, I'm not expecting too much out of USO.
Yeah, it's 127.
Yeah, I mean, that's a couple of points above, and there's not really anything moving it right now.
Oh, we shall see. Yeah, good luck to everybody as well there today as we work on some of the plays. Man, we're going to watch out for SpaceX. I'm looking at Nvidia for an early bid to come through around 225, but we're going to have to let that settle out a little bit, and then potentially a TQQ short if we get back near VWAP, which is only at 77.60 right now. I liked it better at 78. We'll have to check that on a pre-market high if the market gets running. But we've learned before, man, you don't want to stay in the way of a running futures tick. That is for sure, especially when it's early. Okay, man, Nvidia just went on a little bit of a dip dive and then right back up again. So it does go down to 225 and change. Does not break it, of course, and now back up to 226.50. So watching out for that one. SpaceX trying to hold 340, Freudian slip, 140 right there. We'll have to wait to see if that winds up holding as well. So that's an early look. And then a name that we didn't get over that I have on my watch list today is SoFi. If this one comes back in, which it's kind of doing right now, into 820. I was looking at literally these lows here, 825. 1825. We'll see if that can come in on that as well. Right now, the future's just going back and forth, and then we'll throw it over to see if there's anything happening over on that side. But USO, pretty flat right here, right now. So, yeah, just kind of a mixed bag to start with. SoFi coming lower is somewhat interesting now. There goes Nvidia taking out the high of the day as well. So, yeah, this name probably ripping. Yeah, there it goes, man. Market rated up to VWAP immediately. Right there. So this downside play does not last for very long.
So sort of a random one in here, but I know some people look at this stock. ONDS just took, I mean, the drop was big enough there. It just filled in the candle. Now you can see. So ONDS just dropped, is now 6% to the downside. That just immediately starts hitting any scanner at the open that you might be watching. Didn't really have it in play for anything, but I know we have a lot of people that seem to be interested in ONDS, so want to know that it's moving there. I did like SMCI shorting into 40, but as the market goes higher, this is only going lower and not really seeing any traction whatsoever. So if it gets higher, we'd like to look for a short. Snapchat, exactly where it was before, so nothing happening over there in Snapchat. Hasn't really broken above or below. Intel's diving.
Whoa.
Whoa, Intel. Intel down at 102 already. We're at that 100 level. 100 was a big level on Thursday and Wednesday, but it's already testing those pre-market lows. Right, Snapchat looks like it wants to actually break. So we might actually get this breaking away from that consolidation.
We have a trade that might be our first loser of the day here. I tried to, there it goes. I tried to have a little bit of a move higher there in Palantir. I wanted to see if it was going to hold 175, get out there for a 50-cent hit there on Palantir as it did rip up and try to take out some higher levels there, but there it comes now. Okay, so now you're starting to fall down. So it looks like that take there on the TQs would have been right, man. Oh, that's too bad. Right into VWAP is literally what we wrote, and now the move is happening to the downside. So we did take a small shot there and it was just, we don't want to get too involved. We talked about that before 9:35, but there it is on. Look at Palantir. Wow, right back into the 200 period moving average there today. Weaker than the market. I just thought it got going and wanted to see if it was going to support that 175. It completely does not. All right, man, the machines are on right there on SpaceX now. 142 now on SpaceX as they're just turned up and starting to go higher now on SPCX. I'm going to step in and try a little bit there at 142 just to give it a go. We don't know. That just took out right there Fridays. Sorry, that's the pre-market levels there. We'll see if it winds up going SpaceX right now. I know we're buying high. I have a quarter of a unit. And I don't want to get too carried away. As we said, we're a little bit early days in this trade as well. But SpaceX trying to break out. Looks like 144 maybe top. So, if we can get that, we'll take it. Okay, here it goes. Let's place him out. There it is. Nice move there. Got a little bit back there from our initial loss there on SpaceX, on Palantir, back on SpaceX. So there we go. Man, we talked about the machines. Maybe they keep on going. But SpaceX a little out there. Now it comes right back in, of course, as we talk about it. So a little violent action early on SpaceX.
Yeah, so I'm now going to be in the short on Snapchat. I let it do the fake to the upside. Let's see if it fakes downside as well. So the first move was it trying to break out. I'll put the stop right at 525 and try to keep it simple. VWAP, it's a little bit early for that to matter, but if it gets down to 5, that'll be a profit take for sure, all the way down in. SMCI, I don't want to chase this. The market's trying to bounce here, so I'm sitting on the offer, trying to pick it up around 39. And once I pick it up, get short around 39, as that one's trying to come right back in here. Big move to the downside off of the open, but you're starting to get at least a little bit of a bounce in SMCI. And then Intel is the other name we're watching off of the open. Doesn't get anywhere near the 100 on that last little drop, but it is trying to hold the prior day lows. I don't want to jump into this one too early. Market's still looking relatively weak, everybody. So I want to make sure. Oh, now it's starting to bounce a little bit better. There, Intel. Let's let it close. I wanted to see it hold over VWAP if I wasn't going to get the $100 level on Intel. And I look over Nvidia. Yeah, Nvidia is looking a little bit weak as well. We're talking about the memory chip names. They're holding out a little bit better. So DRAM's holding above VWAP. So some better strength, I guess, in memory. But the futures are not strong enough that I want to be fighting for the longs just yet. Like the NASDAQ's about to take out the low, which I think means wait a little bit to try to catch that Intel long.
I have something in my mind, like I need to wait a little bit, but like there's the short VWAP on the futures, and like that's exactly what wound up coming in there on the TQs and on the futures as well. And thank you for the super chat. I mean, we had a super chat earlier. What was I thinking about the levels on the Qs? And yeah, that's what I was thinking, and just didn't execute on it a little bit too early. And you know, when I'm in it too early, I say, why am I in it? And then, you know, when it doesn't work, I was like, oh man, I'm in too early. And when it works, you say, well, why didn't I take it? So I'm not gonna, you know, go back and forth with that. Just want to say that that was a trade idea, and sometimes it's a good thing to take maybe a piece up there. But we tried that in Palantir, and it didn't work either. So, you know, just stick with your gut, your sort of initial take, and you know, play off of it and adjust size maybe as you go there. It's funny because look at the futures; they're starting to go back up a little bit there, and Nvidia is almost making a move lower into those bids. So I'm going to try, just because we wrote it down, man, I'm going to try 225.25 for the long against 225 and give it about 50 cents. You know, if we break down, we break down on that. So that's kind of like what I'm going to hope out for. And then if you guys are wondering, we only have a fifth of a unit here on SpaceX. We took out, so we did have a quarter, so we took out 5%. We took out, I guess, 30% of what we did have. But now it's falling back. And I'm going to try, I'm bidding here 140.50s, see if we can get a fill there. And if we lose 140, we'll just give it a heartbeat below that, and then we'll stop out, right? So if this breaks through 140, we're going to get out of SpaceX right now as it's coming right back into VWAP, where I think we want to test a little bit of a long anyways right now. But I'm going to wait for a little bit more at 140.50 area, see if we can grab a little bit more downside there on SPCX. So yeah, let's give it a little bit of room and see what winds up happening. 140.20s is where my bid is right now on SpaceX.
Oh man.
What happened now?
No. Checks notes.
Oh yeah, exactly. SoFi long.
Checks notes in the Snapchat, which whatever. I said if Snapchat broke one way or another, I was going to take it. It did break down, so I got to take that trade. But like right back is SoFi. I'm going to try to pick this one up at VWAP on the way back in. VWAP retrace happened. The dip into 18 and a half happened. Let's go to Adara at the desk. Get an update.
Yeah, I'm seeing here, just keep an eye on MRVL. This name already really strong on the day. I did just see an analyst comment come through, though. Unclear if this was made before the bell or not, but either way, UBS cutting the price target on Marvell from 340 to 300. Currently, again, near session highs, trading around 235, but just be aware, MRVL potentially a not so positive analyst note. If I get more details, I'll keep you posted. Back to you.
That's crazy. That was before the open it started going. So
yeah, Marvell's nuts. Okay, here goes SpaceX finally. We'll look at Marvell. We look at DRAM. Those were all plays a little bit there that we wanted to talk about. You know, average price now 140, 165. So now officially, oh, I don't have my stream deck open, but we are officially now in the dollar club. So that's going to be a good one. There it goes. We just got out some 143s now on SpaceX. So there we go. We can run it now. So it's a big trade here to start the day with SpaceX. We did, Palantir, you crazy guy. All right, all the way down to 172 and all the way up right there. And like as Neil mentioned there, this is about as good as you can put on SoFi, right? 825 to 850 long, 825 to 850 long. So that would be like Maybe the low would be like 1840, something like that on SoFi. That's what we wrote down there, 1825 to 1850 long. So that low is right directly stuck in the middle right there of 1837. You can't get more middle. That's 12 higher is 1850, 12 lower is 1825. So definitely a missed opportunity there. But again, like they're coming in pretty early. So let's just wait to see if it comes back in there, right? We don't need to, like I keep saying, worry about all these things all the time. They're just levels of interest, right? Now all of a sudden, now we can celebrate good times. Yeah, exactly, Adair. Give it, because there it goes, man. SpaceX now 220 in the money as we continue to go higher on SPCX. Everybody investing in it. So is your boy. There it goes, man. SpaceX, early days right there. Nvidia also. Let's take it a little bit here. We are getting a little bit of a bump back there on Nvidia. The play that we wanted was 225. So let's take out a little bit there. We got 225 and a quarter. We'll just take out a bit. It's too bad we screwed up that early trade on Palantir, but right now Nvidia is one. So nice move higher right here. We've got $3 now on SpaceX and 50 cents now on Nvidia. And we finally just followed our damn rules. So we get long on Nvidia at 225 where we want to. Kaboom. 1 unit. So that was a good one there. SpaceX, $2.50. So yeah, so far so good. Just one little mess up there with Palantir, but we got it back. So let's just let the market happen right now. Pretty quiet on the market front, right?
It's relatively quiet, but you've now almost triple bottomed here, at least on a 3-minute on Intel. So waiting for 100 is not going to necessarily be a thing anymore. See, it broke 102. Now it's holding that 102. So I'm going to put the stop at, you guessed it, 102, and see if we can get this playing back into the upside. We have a super chat from Rustam. Rustam?
Yeah, he's
MDXH was 69 cents when I wrote message here. Good move, guys. Well, I'm going to make the assumption that it's doing a much better than that. It's now 79 cents. Only 2.4. First thing that stood out, only 2.4 million in volume for a penny stock early. That's good, not great. So volume, I think, is on the solid side here. And this stock got destroyed when it failed $1. Not destroyed. Whatever. It pulled back heavily after it failed $1 on Friday. So watch out for that dollar level. Remember that one from Friday, everybody. That was a big time reversal for sure. So finally have our Intel off that 100, 102, not the 100 level. Let's see if it can get back, retest up here at 103.5, because that will be the target. The market's starting to look a little bit better as we speak. Snapchat is still doing the same thing it did. You know what? It's possible that after that move in the morning, Snapchat just doesn't care, but we got the short on, the stop's at 25, and I got my bids out to the volume weighted average price. So yeah, just Intel for myself here. And good luck. Ooh, WETO. No, it's not halted. Is it?
Oh, yeah,
it is.
Sorry,
Oh, my bad.
Small cap name.
Yeah, WETO is halted to the upside. 1260 is a tap for those that are asking. Sorry. I looked at it, I'm like, that's not halted. And I looked at my scanner. This one is halted. 1290 is the high from Friday. So 1260 at that top. Looks like it'll be just underneath Friday's highs.
Oh boy, guys. We're doing it again. Like, this is another $5 winner on SpaceX. Neil, this is like a daily activity over here. This name moves, man, and there goes SpaceX. Exactly what, holy crap. This name, guys, pardon my French there. This is just, wow.
Oh, my God.
What a move, man, on SpaceX. Like, we talked about how much we love this name, why we love it. It has the moves every single day. You just got to take it. And there it goes, man. Upside, upside, upside on SpaceX. I mean, they told us who's investing in it. We knew it had the base on it. So it was an early take, man. I mean, it's too bad that Palantir went upside down on us a bit. But this Nvidia is now also cooking. So we are really having, hopefully, I mean, don't want to jinx it. I mean, whatever. We're actually out now. We only have a third left of SpaceX. But that was just a dangerous, like that reload. How big was that right there? I mean, I was waiting at 140.25s for more. But, you know, we take it right there at 140.90. That was a big reload for sure. Look, the trade works with or without the reload. But, you know, just getting a little bit more shares into that name, SpaceX. We'll take another out right now at 146 as that one just continues to climb higher. And let's take another bid on, or sorry, another offer on Nvidia as that bid has gone as well. So just 2 for 2 cruising right now, 2 for 3 with Palantir out, but up on the day right now on the market. So yeah, I hope that you guys are doing well. There's another name, Capri Holdings. Weren't they something, this is Coach and all that, I believe. Anyways, there was something about this last week. Maybe, I think it must have been earnings, but big drop from 20. Could you maybe just double check that, Adair? Because that's from 20, ridiculous. I think, or did they lose a bid or something on the name? I don't know, but that's a pretty violent.
Yeah, this is not Capri, this is Capricorn. So Capricorn had earnings.
Oh, okay.
This is day 2 of earnings, and ONDS, I had no other news on their day 3 of earnings. CPRI, I believe, is Capri.
Okay, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, ONDS, thanks for
Go ahead with
checking.
ONDS, yeah.
No, ONDS was just a drop off the open that we're reporting for everybody. It looks like it's recovering a little bit. I didn't really see a story. It might have just been a flat bottom break through 9 even. But what I did just see is the market ticking back under and a fail at 103. So if I say that the first thing I wanted for the long, it wasn't the 102. It was $100 on Intel, let's be real. But the VWAP retrace, it hasn't closed and held the volume weighted average price. So the long is off the low until we start closing above VWAP, and then we can start looking at the volume weighted average price for Intel for some continuation, because that's still a false break. False break of the high. Want to look for the lower high for confirmation there. We never got into SoFi or SMCI. SoFi is right back at the lows. So that really failed that breakout price. Let's be a little bit patient with that one. It's not looking as strong as it was before. And SMCI, I'm still on the offer in front of VWAP and have not been picked up even a little bit. Just like this little flat bottom break that we have going on in SMCI. And hopefully that's not all of the short completely gone. I might step down a little bit into 38.4 if I can. Go a little bit lower for a little bit less, and then try to get this one to the south side. It's already dropped so far. And remember, SMCI was the only chip name that was down this morning. That's why I like the short. Like, nothing else was negative except for that.
We're going to take out one more piece of Nvidia and still hold. We still got a third left, unfortunately. It's always unfortunate when we start getting ticked out, but we're getting out ourselves. So nice move up to the 25 period. I think we could probably, I'm still a little negative on the market, which is why every time these stocks are bumping, I'm trying to take a little bit more out. But there goes Nvidia up to those levels. There goes SpaceX up to 146 and change. This has been a big one, obviously, there for me today, as was Palantir to the downside. What else is happening here? This WETO, Neil indicated that a little bit, now opened back up. WETO, a short float name, I'm assuming here. We had this name last week. WETO Robotics, that's right. 30. Wow, it says 88% short. Did you check that up? 88% short right now on this name with only 600,000 outstanding shares.
Maybe it was.
So giddy up if you are into WETO and a possible break long again over here on WETO. Just took out $8 on Friday and getting higher right now. And the other one was at IPST. We got one from, I believe. Was that what it was this morning? Yeah, it looks like it was. That's not doing a whole heck of a lot, IPST right now. Holding the bid at VWAP. Let's see if that winds up breaking, but IPST, another one right there. So it looks like our instincts were somewhat okay, getting a little bit out there on this move. High side for Nvidia, so that was good. I told you we only have about a third left of each one, about a quarter left of each one of these trades right now. So we'll give it a little bit more room on Nvidia. Maybe if it does pull back, I think we could probably reload it. I'm willing to lose on this trade. I like the 225 area. So I'll go a little lower into 225 and then give this one 25 cents. It's definitely not as strong as I hoped it would be there. Then SpaceX, again, a couple decent outs near the high side of 146. Big move. Looks like when the machines turn off, you can let it can get back on, but that was a straight move, like $5. So take some out when you start to see the topping tail candles, which we did. We started seeing some topping tail candles right there. SoFi, Neil mentioned, was all the way back. I didn't even have a chance to look at it yet. So I think this could be a buy down here for SoFi as we hit some of those lows again. All right, we can go to Adair at the desk.
This is actually mentioned under their watch list. If you scroll to the bottom, this was on their CBRS. You had Citadel and AMD both disclosing positions in the stock. So this is another 13F play. CBRS, both Citadel and AMD with stakes in the stock. Keep an eye on XTTV Research. I'm making a whole bunch of 13F visuals that'll be coming out over the next couple days. Back to you.
Well, there you go. So the answer to the question in the chat is no, CBRS did not cure cancer. They just got, everything is about the stakes that came in. 13F filings right now. It's about who owns who and circular this and that. And apparently that's enough for it to go up 14% for CRBS. Yeah, that's too much of a breakout. I'm like, is there a reversion in that trade? I don't think there is on that bad boy. It's absolutely crazy. But if we get to VWAP, want to be out of this sucker if we break the volume weighted average price on SMCI, which will be at about 13.8. So I want to give it that $0.50. Snap is still doing exactly what it did before, which is trying to break down. If it gap fills to VWAP, I'm already bidding all the way through. And Intel finally. Intel finally looking like it wants to close above that volume weighted average price. We got one leg in, lost VWAP, now it's regaining the volume weighted average price. So I want to slip back into it at 03s. We're long, not really at the 02, we got the 04 at 40s. I want to see if I can pick it up at 03s and just play it back into the volume weighted average price. So Intel, it was just an upgrade for Intel here. Sorry, it wasn't an upgrade. That was an upgrade. Apple got an upgrade. Intel had Lip Bhutan buying $10 million worth of insider buying there for Intel. That's the upside. Apple, we haven't even looked at. But with the market trying to bounce here, my guess is Apple's not having as good of a day because when the chips are strong, Apple's not usually the apple of our eyes.
Yeah, shout out to West Palm Beach, everybody out there, man. I mean, you guys are hopefully with me on all of this stuff, man. I mean, it's been, we're long SoFi right now. We just got a great fill. There we got a 45 off of a 40 long. So we just take a quick little, or 39 long, sorry. Quick couple fills there. And then there goes SpaceX as well. Yeah, what's up, West Palm Beach? I mean, we got a little bit out there and then more as it keeps on running higher and higher. So we're getting less and less on this name, obviously, as we start to cash out of our SpaceX right now. So very, very baby trading right now on SpaceX. But again, you know, you're each to each your own. I'm just talking about the shares that I have left right there. So trying to think about how many we had. We probably have about maybe 10 to 15% left. All right, we just took, we talked about the bid that we wanted there. And so we took it on Nvidia. A little bit of, okay, if we can get just going just a little bit more would be nice on Nvidia, but we just took a couple outs. We just got 225.08s. So, okay, nice little push higher now. Everything's going out, man. I mean, this has been a great little start to the day for us. It's really too bad that our boy over here, PLTR, got us taken out right there at VWAP breakdown. Glad to get out because we held that, you know, we would have been just really upset with ourselves because I don't know where we would have punched out. Maybe the low break there of the pre-market. So can't really complain about our trading here today. And there, I mean, look what the hell we just did on SoFi. We are 3 for 3. Like if you guys still, it's up to everybody else, man. Spend your time checking out whoever you guys want to on X, right? But I mean, what we have written down here right now on X today is absolutely incredible. It's just one of those things. I feel like I'm sounding like Donald Trump. We've got everything so great. There's Nvidia right there, 225 area long. We're in it. That we just put it on. That's $1 right now. Apple we didn't look at yet. SoFi, we have that trade. That's just 20 cents. I just showed that to you right there. TQs we do not have, and SpaceX we have every day. So there, look at this Nvidia trade. We just reloaded this thing down there. This is now, there it is, daily goal met. We screw up on Palantir, but there goes Nvidia giving us that $1 right there back. That's $1, right? We just took a 225.08. Nice move high. There, now it's even going even higher. Wow, what are we even doing right now? Nice move there. And then there goes SoFi. SoFi is retracing back a little bit now, but hey, man, I think like we've really found our sort of mojo here when it comes to trading lately. So nice move higher there. SoFi kicking it, man. SpaceX still $6 in the money. And then now Nvidia Dollar Club. So sitting on about 750 right now. And it's been a good one, right? So multiply whatever shares you guys want. It's 750 in the money right now. And so far, so good there. SNDK.
Well, if it's a chip name, it's probably going higher.
Yeah. What's up, Ed? Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Percentage-wise, yeah. I mean, $1 on an $18 stock is much better than $1 on a $100 stock. That's for sure.
Well, like $1 on SNDK is.
Yeah, it's not. This is a show. So I made a club called the Dollar Club. So, you know, and plus we scalp. So like I'm trading with millions of dollars of buying power. So it's like, if I have 1,000 shares, let's just say, and it's $1, then that's a payday, right? So it's whatever you guys are trading, but we like to just celebrate some of the winners. And like I said, part of this show is supposed to be entertaining, and I hope it is. And yeah, thanks for the super chat there. And there it is right there. Thank you. You are welcome. I mean, that's what it is. This is why Neil and I discuss our positions. We discuss what we're taking. You can always ask us how the day is going, if we made money on a position, if we didn't, what our outs are looking like, what our ins are looking like. I mean, this right here is $6, and I told you where the stop was, a break of 140. So risking about $1 to make $6, so as long as that works out for you, and whether or not you're trading 5 shares or 50 shares, it could be the same logic, and you're just trying to get a little bit better every single day, right? So that's what that is. And yeah, again, thanks for the run today, guys, and it's been a great one. And just hit the like and the subscribe.
Exactly, everybody. That's the thing. All that really matters is, that's why we discussed it. Like, what's your plan of action? Where are you getting in? Where are you getting out? Like, if I want to wait for VWAP on Intel and I want to stop underneath VWAP, then I can grab it in the thirds and stop it out for 50 cents worth of risk. And we try to get it into the 104 level. SMCI just continues to, you know what? It's not going with the market, so I guess that's somewhat of a good thing. We got one fill on Snap here. Let me hit, how many times am I hitting enter? There we go. It's just slowly gliding down. This is a $5 stock. VWAP is the target here. I want this to get down to about 490. Bidding underneath like 504 for whatever reason, who cares, and then 494. But just as this one continues to slide lower, there wasn't a big story, but now it's just a false breakout setup over there on this bad boy. Still haven't really done much. I haven't done anything in SMCI. Sorry, not SMCI, in SoFi. But that was the fourth name on my list. It's not quite. I had 18.3 written down, and this wick in here is close enough. So I'm going to probably take my first shot at it. If it puts in, hold this higher low, take the shot in here, give it to this bar at 18.38, and then go from there. The market does want to climb above VWAP, it seems like. So if you're under VWAP right now, you want to be pretty careful. It looks like we're trying to break this sucker back out. So stocks under VWAP, I still like to the south side. Got to be careful with anything trying to go long over. And just flashing on over to WETO for everybody that's in small capper land. It is still gone. 15.5 looks like it was just at 15.5. 16.5 is the new high. Opened up and just screamed higher. I didn't see another halt. Looks like it should have gone into a halt, but obviously I haven't seen that actually happen there on a WETO. So that's the one that's going the most. Intel's still holding the top end of the range here. Hasn't really made that secondary break. Remember that this did lose support at about 105. So I want to make sure we're getting out as this one goes higher. The market's very inside here, so you got to make sure if your stock ain't going, you don't want to be fighting it too much.
Yeah, that's giving me some nervous moments here because of that reason. It's like,
watch out for Apple.
I don't really know. Oh yeah, Apple. That was the other one. Did you look at it yet?
Well, it's screaming off the lows, but it just got to VWAP, and that candle just happened on Apple. So this one looks like it's reversing back into the downside. When the chips are strong, Apple's gone, man. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because the market is just kind of bouncing me. We're back at VWAP right now. We did talk about shorting the VWAP trade here. I don't want to go short now because I'm long everything. So if anything, like I was just saying about getting out and trying to figure this all out, if we want to do anything right now, it would be empty out some of the clip, which is what we're doing, and then reassessing based on where this market is going. I mean, I almost feel like I don't even have this thing working in my ear. Like I'm not getting any updates to anything really happening. That's what I mean. There's nothing really going on too much right now. So we'll kind of just hold to our chest of the trading and figure this all out. It's getting close to 10 o'clock, so we'll have another update very, very soon with Adara USO. Now, Andre, can you just test my ear for a second just to make sure it's working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, so USO right there, 127, so pretty flat on that one as well, not going a whole heck of a lot of space. I don't know, didn't we hear someone had bought, was it Berkshire was more involved with Uber now? Uber was up to 77 and change again today. Nice move down to 75 again, which kind of sucked. And then right back upside as that sort of V-shaped recovery maybe continues to exist. WETO halts and opens back up now $16. Wow. This name $8-9 to start with, now up to 16. WETO, STFS going, wow, we just got another fill on something. What was it? I guess it was Nvidia or SpaceX. Either one is still going. STFS, another name right now, trying to climb higher, breaking off that $5. Holding VWAP right now at 560. STFS trying to go there. Another halter, CDTG. This might be a new one. Attention, new one. Right now, only 1.3 million shares. CTDG working itself out right now. That's 350 coming into play on this name. Looks good, man. Yeah, clear, as Tisha would say, clear skies, clear sailing up to 750. Maybe now on CDTJ, Charlie Delta Tango Garoppolo. Nice move higher on that one. And then PFSA, attention, maybe a new one on here as well. Only done 200,000 shares. But okay, that's what it was. So it was SoFi. We got a fill there on SoFi at 45. Just not in love with this. Nvidia is still that buck, so that might have been a fill there as well at the 200 period. And SpaceX is now, honestly, it's now $7. Like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure sometimes to make some trades, but that's not from you guys. It's just from the moves that happen. It's like I see this $7, and it's like, man, you know, it's anxious because there's amount of share sizes. All right, let's go to Dara. We do have an update now and happening now.
NAHB Housing Market Index 35 here for the month of August. That's going to be above the consensus of 33 and the prior print of 34. So again, 35 for the NAHB Housing Market Index. SPY right now trying to break a low, and we actually just did. So new low of day, unfortunately, for the S&P 500, which was poised to open higher. Now, the NASDAQ, though, not performing the same way. This is actually pretty interesting divergence here. So as we see the SPY break a new low of day, NASDAQ, A, not anywhere near its low of day, and B, still decently above Friday's close. So that is significant divergence. We'll take a look at the USO as well here. USO right now roughly flat, more or less, slightly higher than where we closed going back to Friday. President Trump still making some comments. Iran still making some comments. Unfortunately, this conflict does continue. MU, though, one of many memory names near highs of day. You've got SanDisk doing the same kind of thing here. SanDisk actually above 1780 after opening near 1690, so nice climb there. These memory names are strong here after Howard Lutnick, U.S. Secretary of Commerce, said that the department does not want Apple to be using Chinese memory. They're basically saying there has to be another option. So if they ban that Chinese memory, that'd be a good look here for these U.S. memory names. Also keep an eye on the likes of SpaceX and Cerebras. Both of these very strong this morning, both SPCX and CBRS benefiting from some 13F filing. CBRS got scooped up by the likes of Citadel and AMD, where both groups actually also scooped up SpaceX shares, but Google, Nvidia, and Harvard University were amongst the other SpaceX buyers. So Q2, good look here for CBRS and SpaceX when it comes to these 13F filings. But we're going to send you back over to Neil and Shawn. Please make sure to like and subscribe.
Thanks, Adair. Be sure to like and subscribe, but also like an offer that you're probably not getting. I'm guessing you're not seeing it from your broker, but that's because the markets have been pretty active and traders are looking for big opportunities and more setups and more momentum. But if you want to take advantage, you kind of need a couple things. You need some discipline and you need some access to capital. Trade the Pool comes in right there. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders access firm capital and focus on executing strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No more moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own personal savings. This is called limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets, then you can visit tradethepool.com and not risk your own capital. You can scan the QR code that you see right in front of you on screen. I want to thank Trade the Pool for sponsoring this portion of the show. All right. Well, Intel's just holding range at this point. SMCI wicked VWAP, which was also the pre-market lows and the low of the day on Friday. But when it showed me that topping tail wick and stopped out, there's the topping tail. We jump back in, stop to the topping tail, and then play back into the low. Intel is holding consolidation, so the first long off the low is good. But then right here, it just doesn't want to go. So I'm going to stop that break even. It didn't want to make that move. The 102 looks like the better area for Intel if it gets back down there. And we originally liked the $100 level even there. Snapchat, for whatever the story might have been, as the market just heads back into the downside. Snapchat now starting to work its way downside finally. But it's just slowly closing in that gap. I might move the bid to 05 and just keep it simple and be every 5 cents on this thing as a $5 stock. There's probably going to be a bid at $5 anyways, too. I'll put it at 01s, but this one's just slowly grinding lower. And I got to slap the fail on myself for not taking that breakdown trade on Beyond Meat right through 13 even. So the same breakout price from Friday on Beyond Meat looks like it was just a flush zone. So I'm going to short this on the way back up. The story for me is stock does a reverse split, fails the breakout on day one, then I think it's a short until proven otherwise. So it gave you 13 to 14 if you were lucky enough on Friday. Now I just think it's back to regularly scheduled programming for Beyond Meat, which was a penny stock for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not the harp on Beyond Meat or anything.
No, but I mean,
any stock does a reverse.
Why it's down there, right?
Any stock does a reverse split, in my opinion, generally speaking, 9 times out of 10 it's a short. That's just how it is.
Yeah, we're getting lighter and lighter, obviously, on all of these positions. So I, put some new names in the chat if you guys want to. I just, getting out. This now broke through the 25 period moving average. So now on Nvidia, we have about 15%, about a little bit more than that, about 20% left over there. And SoFi, I mean, we have about 35% left, but I didn't trade this very heavy. SoFi, it's funny because we talked about that, using units. Like, I don't really change it based on this stock, which I just change the expectations of the moves and put tighter stops on names like this and let other ones float a little bit, and then just adjust what percentage of a unit I wind up taking on these names. But yeah, SoFi right now, not really doing a whole heck of a lot, just hovering around. SoFi is so funny. Like, it has good news. It always comes back in. And on days when you're not really expecting it, like SoFi tomorrow will probably be hot. So we'll look at that.
It'll be like $20
tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be like, all of a
by
sudden,
the way,
like,
Nvidia earnings. Your Nvidia earnings are
2 weeks, I thought.
No, it's next week.
Okay, so what?
Next Wednesday, Nvidia report.
Next Wednesday. Okay, so
yes,
almost.
It's already happening.
Yeah, I'm a week and a half away.
I thought it was further away too.
From that one, a week and a half is close enough. Good guess. All right, so Nvidia, but yeah, look at Cerebras there on the upswing. I mean, taking out 254 is that next little level. It looks like it might happen. I mean, you just held the lows of 248, just coming in. Not that that's a low of anything, but that was a nice little level there that came in right there and held 247, I guess, and held again. Now it looks like it wants to take out some bids there. That's Cerebras. We did have some talk about Marvell starting to kick out a little higher there today, this morning as well. So love this stock. I mean, this is another big one there in the portfolio. Why it's up 6.5%. I think Adara talked a little bit about the breakout in Marvell, but it's happening right here. So, yeah, so far so good, I guess, on that name. Nothing wrong with taking a little bit of Marvell in your life on that kind of a move. So we'll wait to see where it goes from here, but good so far. They're on MRVL and now finally taking out the 50-period moving average. So that's a good one. I don't think we got to the 200. I think it was close. Yeah, so 150. So, I sort of held this pretty much all the way back in, and so didn't get anything out of Marvell and just sort of watched it happen there and didn't do much with it. So that's what Marvell's doing. Another name I was thinking about, like maybe getting in if and something happened there, might be this ARM. Down still 0.3. It's not doing a whole heck of a lot, but 260 to 250 area, a good little dip buy opportunity potentially for Marvell. All right, Nvidia's not back up, but SpaceX sure is. It just dumped into the 25 period and now right back up to the highs. So some name that we don't talk about enough, I think it's called SpaceX. That is really starting to get going. Yeah, something about SpaceX trying to go. I'm going to wait for 149.50, just see if it goes another buck, if we can get something out near the highs of the days. It was just, what day was it there? Was it Thursday? We almost broke through that 150 before. So let's give it a little bit of a shot here and see if it wants to do it today. That, of course, is SpaceX trying to break through some of those. As SoFi goes higher, I mean, I like the same reasons for SoFi. They talked about the TAM, right? The total addressable market. As younger people get involved with SoFi there, the lending program that they have, I guess some of the affordable rates and, this banking's a little different. We have it here with Wealthsimple, giving money on your checking account and your savings and, not just your traditional bank, different opportunities. And Robinhood has that gold credit card as well that gives you that and a few different things for your accounts and zero fee trading. So maybe Robinhood's a better play than SoFi, just getting going a little bit easier there for Robinhood, up 0.93 today, and SoFi just hovering around, really not doing anything, right, SoFi? Oh, there it goes. Boom.
It's not up much.
All right, man. We'll take 10 cents. We just got filled on SoFi there. Wasn't really expecting that one. So that's going to be a good little take there on the upswing. So, yeah, you're right there, SJB Workshop. I want to say thank you to you for posting up some messages in there. I'm going to put it in there. Swing hold on 1 or 2 weeks away. Oh, we have another idea there from somebody there. But, yeah, I can't even find where it was. But anyways, it's right here. SoFi looking to start getting a little bit better. SJB Workshop. So, well, simple for almost a year. There it is. What's up to Eclectic Passions? Yeah, as I said, my kid, 24 years old, just graduated university. He's with SoFi. He does, or with Well Simple. He does all his banking there, and it's easy. So he likes it. I don't know. I'm just kind of an old head. I might just stick with the traditional banks, but I do see the advantages of moving some money around into some Well Simple. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's not a needle mover.
I see why the youth like it. So yeah. I think Robinhood's a solid investment. I think, in my opinion, you get a little bit of everything. I still like SoFi. I think there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But I've heard really good things about Well Simple but all anecdotally, like nothing from personal experience, or it's just like heard from somebody that I know through somebody else firsthand. So I did finally get into Beyond Meat.
Thank you, Rob.
Oh, thank you.
These are actually my favorite cups, but I do like Rob's creativity. Generally, this is a nice one.
Well, Rob just doesn't keep it boring with the.
That's what I mean. I like to switch up all the time.
Then you can see that I drink my coffee black.
It gives us something to talk about as well.
Coffee black, one of my favorite.
I like the coffee black. Where is that from again? That's an easy one. That's
it's Jackie Moon.
Yeah.
What's the?
It is Jackie.
Will Ferrell. What's the basketball movie with Will Ferrell with Jackie Moon?
Oh, it's the one that I talked about the other day, wasn't it? We just talked about it.
This is so bad.
Oh man,
this is so bad.
We should know that one. That's ridiculous because we always. I just watched
Semi-Pro.
Like literally just talked about that the other day, and I saw it was on TBS or something, and I was mentioning that I hadn't watched it in years, and I was watching a little bit of it, and it was quite funny.
So easy.
Right there. But what is? Someone just said in the chat, "What's up, Kevin Mendoza? Shawn, give us another face slapper." Come on, man. I mean, I'm wearing down these faces here. SpaceX, man, we just gave it to you. 1835, 1860. Low of the day to VWAP. I don't know what we can't do more there. SpaceX is the slapper. Nothing we can do. That's already in. Watch out for, how about a 150 break? I think we should take that. So I'm going to put it in. My stop order now is irrelevant. This is an $8 winner. We're getting piecing out of it. We're almost out of this name now. Less than 10% left. So I'm going to I'm going to cancel my stop. I'm just going to put in a 150 long break. Yeah, look, it may not work, but let's just play some of the momentum here to the upside. We'll take almost half a unit or so, and I only want to give this one 50 cents or so. If it breaks back down, it breaks back down. I don't really want to give this one too much room because the retracement on a 150 break, probably the only bouncing spot we've had is the 25 period moving average, and that was at 147 back there. Now, if we break 150, which could happen in 30 seconds, I don't want to give this back to 148. Even on whatever unit you're taking, I just don't think a $2 hold right now on SpaceX is going to be worth it, especially off of a key level break. I'd like it to break that level, and then we'll talk about it later. So, it's just been, I really want to make sure that we're doing the right thing today. The only thing we've lost on is a trade that now is in the money, but that was never really part of the plan. You got to stick with some kind of plan. And the sticky note is a plan, man. That's 225 area long on Nvidia. Nvidia is going to be, SpaceX, my number one stock, obviously followed there. We have Apple coming through. SoFi has been an absolute monster. So that's huge. We just got another fill there. So those are two good notes. We just got another fill on SpaceX. So I'm just going to watch this as it's now going to take down 150, it looks like. I'll put the sticky note in the chat. You guys can go check it out if you're at all interested. Make sure you get Sharif's morning note as well. But this is what SpaceX looked like, just ho-humming a $9 winner. NVIDIA also $1 in the money. There as Neil works with Snapchat, Beyond Meat, and
Intel finally.
Intel.
So very quickly, SMCI, we're able to get half of it out as it came back into 38.4. But remember, the stop was at that prior high, so we'll take the L on SMCI. Thankfully, it was pretty calm on the way back underneath VWAP, but I'm not fighting anything that's above the volume weighted average price. And then at the same time, and we were waiting for Intel to hold the volume weighted average price, there it did. So we end up in the same price as before, but just when it was actually going. So we took the break even out, let it through the bottoming tail wick, and then just re-entered above the volume weighted average price. I still think this is a play into 104.5 where the opening range top is, but if it gets underneath 103, then we can hop out. Beyond Meat doesn't care what the market's doing. It's completely irrelevant. Beyond Meat just is what it is. Like we're shorted, I'm going to short it underneath VWAP, but I'm just trying to hold, and if it breaks the low, then we'll reassess probably every 10 to 15 pennies on that bad boy. And then Snapchat is actually trying to catch a bit of a bid. So we shorted it underneath, like well, second it broke down, but it put a bit of a curl on. I don't want this getting all the way back into 25s. I feel like I'll probably just give it a tighter stop in here at 20s and just say this is not falling apart. It's entirely possible that Snapchat, there was no story here.
No.
So expecting it to move just because it moved earlier, I think it's fine as a theory, but that broke down the low and went about 10 pennies or so, which is not bad for $5 stock, but I wasn't treating it like it was only gonna move 10 pennies. So I really only got like 20% out. Like if I actually cared and thought it would be that tight of a trade, 10 cents being good, I would have scalped most of it out. So I'm just gonna tighten up the stop because I feel like there's less potential in that trade whatsoever. So it'll just be Intel. Hopefully we can ride this one to 104.5, and that's been a good long, although I thought the A+ level was down at $100, but it's trying to catch a bit of a bid. You're not gonna get any action out of the futures though. That's sort of the problem is if you look at anything that's trying to follow the market, we have double topped the low. We have failed to break out even the opening range high, so this time's gotta go. Like something's gotta give here. If we can break it out this time, that's where I think you get the extended move on anything that happens to be following. And for me, Intel is following the futures to a greater degree to other names. Like SpaceX doesn't care, right? Because SpaceX will be on its own island a lot of time. But if you're trading Intel or some of the chip names, they're starting to stall out because the Qs just can't seem to be going as a group. Some blame to Apple, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Apple and Microsoft is also down.
Well, unless it's bounced since I looked at it last.
I just want to say we are now out of this. So they're the face slapper of the day. For me, is done with. Right now, the fail at 150, we've seen it too many times now. No point in holding on to anything, so we'll just take a ho-hum $8 right there. Get out at 149 and just call it a day right there. Call it a trade. We will be well back into SpaceX, believe me, today. But there it goes, ends it right there for now. I just took some more out on SoFi. We have less than 10%. We have less than 5% left now on SoFi. I'm going to let that one go back in. If we get another 1830, I was sitting there at 1830s, so hopefully that can come in. We'll get that. And then we just took out Nvidia basically at its high again of this move. So things are working out well over here today. It's too bad, man, because we would have had much bigger day if we just a little more patient on this Palantir trade. But that was upside down. I've definitely, after this many years, I should learn my lesson on Palantir. That for sure. So so far there. Let us know in the chat if there's anything else you guys want us to look at. Message us, hit us up with some super chats or whatever. I do see gold being talked about again. We do have that button there. Everything gold coming up again. But yeah, today. Yeah, very, very happy.
But we do like it today.
Yeah, he's definitely loving gold today. Up 1% and almost in a straight line there. There was a little bit of action in 10 minutes where we dipped back just to prior highs and then took off again. So gold there trying to work itself out. And as the NASDAQ and the ES both hover around zeros, actually ES down, NASDAQ slightly up, we can see the need for some gold in your portfolio there as a little bit of a hedge. And, against some of those long-term interest rates, we do have, the high, longer end.
Yields came down a little bit.
Oh, were they? I was going to wonder what was going on there today. So yields coming down, maybe not a great sign for gold, but, we'll wait. 70%, 30% when you already indicated that. We'll see what happens there on September the 16th. Now, 30 days away officially from the next little rate
let's go, Casey.
Announcement there as well. So what is Casey up to these days?
Casey's out here just giving membership. Just dropping membership.
Yeah.
Casey, thank you in the chat. A member, Casey yourself, a member for 13 months, $5 club on WETO. WETO, it doesn't really matter what you call it. That one is absolutely flying around here. And you sent 5 memberships. Who got them? We got Bert. B-Turt McGee. Johnny T got one. Krish got one. We got Mark got one. And then also Darth Blader, Kirby. Remember, if you want to get these gifted memberships and get Shriek's Morning Note in the morning, you've got to be in the chat. But when you go into the chat, you've got to enable gifts. So hit the subscribe. It's a subs-only chat. Make sure you enable gifts. KC, you're more than generous. We appreciate you. Maybe we'll double-check WE2 in a second, see how that stock is going. interesting coincidence. It just hit the halt band at 1926, didn't halt, and has reset the halt band higher. The halt band is now at 1962 on the offer, 137%, and still going higher is WETO. It looks like it's going to the halt band's at 62, so it's probably going to do that. I wanted the daily chart. Oh yeah, there's nothing out here. Blue sky setup for WETO. This one's probably going to halt here at 1962, and then we've got Ed with a super chat. Thank you. What do you guys think about the bipartisan Senate committee deadline on the 21st for Apple and using only U.S. memory, potential catalyst for memory names, downside for Apple, higher costs? I'd say better for my opinion is it's better for like Micron than it is necessarily bad for Apple, because there's, at the end of the day, like everyone knew Apple had these concerns, right? So they looked at another option, and to the extent that they were going to be able to do it, it's not as if the stock had been rallying all that hard anyways. So there's really no negative to sell here. It didn't bounce on the news they were searching for cheaper alternatives or possibly getting cheaper alternatives. So then what does it have to retrace? Like to some degree, I got to think that some of that's going to be priced in. So I'd say better for the memory, like better for Micron here, which is on a breakout train regardless. Like look at this sucker. Micron, that's a bit of a breakaway level there on MU. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. If we had seen a much better bounce in Apple, then maybe I would change my tone there. So here comes a bit of a pullback. Market's at the low. We can throw that super chat. That's fine. You can get rid of it if you can. I'm not on the right page to be able to do that. We have some more super chats there as well, but we'll get to them in a second. The Nasdaq's heading to the low. So if we bounce again, then that bounce looks like a reload potential on Intel, but I don't want to catch it on the way down. I want the entries either on strength, right? On the higher low, on the breakout, on the reversal wick, not catching that falling knife. We'll get that MDXH probably in the small cap recap with the Dara.
Perfect.
Sorry, I do not have that name in the small cap recap. We'll talk here, though, about OBAI. Oh, this is not the right one. It's OABI. That's the one that's in focus here. We do have some catalysts in this one, including Eli Lilly related deal here. So OBAI, again, raising also their 2026 year-end cash and cash equivalents outlook, and then that Lilly Ion channel deal that includes milestones valued at up to $370 million. OABI, OmniAb Inc. with a $602 million market cap. They're on the Russell 2000. You've got a 5% short float. IVF next up here. Invo Fertility. This is a day one earnings play, beating on EPS, including unexpected profit, but missing on sales. They also have a just under $6 million market cap, 2 million share float, 11.7% short float. Last but not least, no news on WETO, but a $15.5 million market cap and a notably small 860,000 share float. Back to you.
So if you want to invest in Obi, who will be doing the midday show, his personal LLM, obviously we're joking around here, OBAI, or the Obi Man,
Yep.
which, if you're West Indian, it's not spelt that way, but that's like the, what's the best way to put it?
Like a
Obi Man
boogeyman.
is kind of like the boogeyman.
Yeah, boogeyman.
Yeah, or like like any ghost.
Yep.
Would be another way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Shout out to,
you know that one because I probably
sure.
said it.
Yeah, I think we've heard that story a couple times there. That's why. But
Going.
yeah, no, Obi on the midday show. So no, you might have noticed with no Joe this morning, with no back and
Joey
forth,
options
the
of
options or the upgrades and the downgrades. He's taking just a day off of rest and relaxation. So Joe is all good to go. All right, so just a quick look on what's been happening there. SpaceX, I mean, you know, that was a good one as we are out of that stock. Right now, it's fallen back in. So, yeah, we'll count the money now. We don't give any back, which is always a nice story right there to watch out for. All right, Nvidia. Okay, I'm going to take one more piece out and then just let the rest go. I don't know. This has been the highs going on it. And, look, we're trying to grow we're trying to grow our viewership, right? And we're trying to grow our base a little bit here. If you guys are interested, we do have the free watch list. We do have all of us put up all the time our notes into TikTok, into Twitter, all over the place, everywhere. But we talked about the TQQ shorting VWAP, right, at the TQ. So if you're looking for a couple of different trades there, futures, ideas, I generally put something about the NASDAQ on there. Neil's always like gold, silver, IBIT, stuff like that. We all have our different notes going on there, but there's once, twice, and basically thrice into VWAP and right back into the downside. So, oh wow, that was, look, I mean, I know I have too many outs all the time, but like sometimes scalping is actually kind of fun and makes a little bit of sense there. I wanted to see another name here, and I tried to trade it today, and I didn't really trade it that hard. But this is a name on the pink sheets, Netlist. I mean, it's not really trading, you know, the way I like to see like a little bit more movement or anything on this. But this is a name, Adara, Netlist. I don't know that much about it, but NLST. It's just been going hard over the last, like, basically week. And, you know, you want to talk about names that are not, like, these aren't going to halt over here on the pink sheets. I don't, you know, halting doesn't, yep.
Sorry, I just want to mention here the most interesting, most recent catalyst in this, which is really interesting. They filed a patent infringement action against Micron in the US ITC, International Trade Commission. That was as of Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. So that was the most recent Wednesday. They reported Q2 results on Thursday, July 30th.
Wednesday?
They, I guess they have a license agreement with Samsung announced as of last Monday. So they have some decent high-profile catalysts. I don't know if filing patent infringement action against Micron is the way to go. But yeah, not kind of an interesting company.
Yeah, that's a $200 million agreement that they've got with.
This is why, you know, not just a pretty face I am over here. Sometimes we'll bring you some good stories, and there it goes. Like when I saw this come up on that, and all I do is scan here. You know, I was just looking. I sort by trades, and it is like SoftBank, Tencent, that Japanese Kausha. I think they're another. Exactly. They're a DRAM play, I believe. I think so. That's another one there. But anyways, it's just. The story is the same. It's just it was outpacing everything else in trades. So I looked it up and was like, wow, this chart looked pretty, you know, story-like. And there's the story. So thanks, Adara, for that one. Just keep, oh, here, I have a button for that.
Thank you very much, Adara.
Yep, so there it goes. So it's a nice move up there for NLST as that continues to go. And man, we're going to pat ourselves on the back again, like for this SpaceX. I think that was a good out up there, breaking back down through 149. Just looked a little weak off 150. I mean, how many times like do we need to see this name try to get to that 150 area? Just did it on Friday, or that was Thursday, I guess, up there. And yeah, right back down. Was that? Yeah, that was right at the end of the day on Thursday. We didn't really test it too much on Friday. I mean, the highest we got during, you know, once we opened was 145 and fell pretty good right at the close there. And now you're seeing another look at 150 again. So I think we can reload this for sure back at that 145 if we're lucky enough to get something in and around that area. You know, good super chats today coming all through. I want to thank Casey again. 5 more coming through. So thank you, KC, for that one. I'll leave the call case to my guy Sharif over there. And then what's up, Ed Clark there? In 3 months, we have midterms. Yeah, you know what? I was actually talking with someone at baseball this week, and they're big. They work at a very, very prominent spot at one of the major banks here in Canada, and he got out of everything financial there. So everything, and it's not inside or anything. He's just talking about his own accounts right there. He got out of his own just because of this reason, midterms. Just was a little bit worried about that midterm. So I'm going to say perfect thought on this one because you're not alone with that potentially getting out. So went up to Ed Clark, and how do I give that a? Oh, there's the thumb right there. Yeah. So I like that one. I like that comment. Thank you again to Casey for that. But yeah, so I think that
usually so historically the reason for that is like there's almost all midterms have this like midterm pullback. It's like a statistical thing.
Right.
I'm surprised Michael hasn't done something on that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we can always.
Oh, he has?
He did in the past.
Yeah,
I think
Neil.
going back to 2024, early 2024, I believe.
Well, you know what?
Something
Hold on
on
a
it.
second. Wait a minute. Hang on a second.
Michael covers pretty much everything at all times, so I don't really. It's very hard to know.
Of course he has.
Very hard to know what he's covering at all times. But there's WETO halt again there. So yeah, man. I mean, this has been a great stock. We brought this one to you guys early. You guys have been talking about it early. So congratulations and say awesome to those of you in the chat that have been on this name. This was a name from Friday, kept on going today again. WETO, WeTour keeps going higher, as does PFSA, man. We brought this one. This one's going to halt down right now, halting down on PFSA.
What's the volume on that?
Just 500, so it's 600,000, so not much volume there. But there's your first halt down at 602. Right now tapping 5 3/4. Right now tapping 5 3/4 on PFSA. Now halted. Here's another one, BUUUU. Halted. That might not be anything. Yeah, boo on that one. WETO, boo's halted back and forth. That's it. And the other one was IPST that we got some supers on earlier today as well. And unfortunately, that one hasn't gone. It's just like, how do we know this WETO is going to be the one today? You know, you kind of got to play them all and have risk, risk parameters.
At 150%, actually, that's better than that. What are we talking about? That's more than I'm
gonna get out more SoFi.
Anyways, it doesn't really matter. You just need one of them to go, and then don't lose a bunch on the others. Like, I think that's, if you can find an early entry. I just tagged out in front of 104 on Intel as the market, but the market just bounced off the lows. That said, it's still that silly topping tail candle. It just didn't want to go. So we grabbed it off O2s, we grabbed it off of VWAP. Each time it's making these like $1 bounces and then slow down on INTC. So yeah, good. I think maybe waiting for it to retest VWAP, because we're now at 1030. Let it retest that volume weighted average price, or maybe it's a clean breakout later on. Either way, so far so good on Intel. It didn't get to 100, but we were able to play off the O2 level. Beyond meat, remember, this is just, to me, it failed to break out at 13 on Friday, so I'm shorting it under VWAP. It just tagged the low a day, and it's coming back and to reload that at the volume weighted average price. And Snapchat, like, it's the stock that refuses it. It won't stop us out. So to the extent that I scalp some out, I just reloaded and maintain the stop here underneath that lower high at 22s. And if it ever falls apart, great. But at this point, it doesn't even look like Snapchat wants to move. It's such a strange stock today, to be honest with you. To have gone down 16, 17% all the way back. And it's not as if it doesn't have a reason to go down. I mean, Meta's crapping all over itself, so why wouldn't Snapchat also want to follow suit? Meta's down 2% and at the low of the day, and breaking lower. And as a matter of fact, looks like absolute.
I hate Meta. I talked about that for a minute. Meta is like the new tobacco name. Look at what, and I think we're getting caught up in a lot of it. Like, I don't actually mean that. It's just, you know, there's so many guns pointed at Meta all the time. It's crazy. Like, poor Mark Zuckerberg, man. Poor guy making $700 million.
I, for one, feel very sorry.
I think, is it $700 million a quarter, or is it $700 million a year in dividends alone? What's up, Adara?
And he's getting a new movie about him where he's played by Jeremy Strong. And that's called The Social Reckoning. I'm very excited about, I believe, October 9th release date. That is actually a direct sequel to The Social Network by the same writer who's also going to be directing. So, yeah, I think maybe not a great year for Mark Zuck for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't even know who Jeremy Strong is, but that looks like...
I have no idea who that...
Succession. Oh, I mean, I like Succession. So maybe I should have known
which
that.
Guy?
Kendall Roy, yeah, okay. All right, so Nvidia there, I haven't watched much Succession, but that's another one of those ones that's sort of on the list.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Of stuff to do. Coming out, yeah, okay. So Adara, hey, if Adara likes the actor, probably a good one. She watches a lot, so thanks Adara for that one. All right, I mean, unfortunately, this might have been a mistake, but still and a big one. I mean, we got out of it all of Nvidia. I was just sitting there near these highs. Was pretty happy to do it. You know, not going to complain about this Nvidia trade, that's for sure. And there it goes, man. So we actually wind up basically making the same money on SpaceX. We made a little more on SpaceX than we did on Nvidia, but all good over there as far as that's concerned. And then, you know, one losing trade today, Palantir. And SoFi, we got some more out there at 1845. We just missed another 18 bid there on SoFi. WETO is now open and closed there. So, wow. Oh boy, man, this stock is just nuts. So, I don't know what to tell you guys. Opened there at 19. Looks like it ripped and halted at 21. Opened again at 22, almost flat. Halts at 20 flat. Now it's not looking so nice. Down to 1860 rate. Excuse me.
How many?
How many halts? I wish we had like the exact counter there. 1, 2, 4, 5. So it looks like 5 halts so far. You just count the gaps here in the volume too. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it's in its 5th. So 5 halts right now for WETO. But to your thing there, 1, 2, the third one would have been in and around here. So that would have been still worked for the long, but opened up there at 19, out at 21.45. So just, I laugh because there's just so many great trades there that it's like, you just got to get out.
Yeah.
And it's only open. So the last halt rate there, just to show you, was 10:29.25 is when it opened, and then it closed at 10:30. So it was open there for about 38 seconds. These are all the halts just coming in right now. WFF, that's a nothing. Oh, that is that one. 500,000 shares. There's a move up on WFFFF. PFSA. This is the one that's light on volume, but it's been halting a lot this morning as well. And then GRNQ is a nothing burger. But it looks like this PFSA might be the one with the next bit of movement behind it, as our halt scanner is kind of going off a bit there. So out on Nvidia, out on SoFi, out on SpaceX. That name coming back in a little bit here.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Michael P. DeRider.
Yes.
Is it the right one? I want to make sure I get the right name, because whether it's P, whether it's Philip, or one of your alter egos, I want to make sure we're talking
Peter,
right.
Who knows what it is these
Peter.
days.
I thought it was Philip.
I think it is. It is Philip. I'm just going by the alter egos here. We never know.
Hey, I like Phil. My brother's name is.
Yeah, I like that
Oldest
name.
brother Phil.
Friends of Terrence.
Terrence and Philip is a great gag. Have y'all been watching the Perseids the meteor storm? Not strain. You mean the meteor storm? No. Have not. I remember here, like the last meteor shower thing, we had very poor visibility because it was like a storm here. Not a storm, but it was overcast.
Overcast, yeah. My wife was mentioning that. That was last week.
It was last week. It was supposed to be really cool,
Yeah.
and then we couldn't
She's
see
like, "Oh, man,
jack
too bad we
because
can't see it." Yeah.
it was all overcast. I'm questioning, Intel is held at 104 for 3 minutes now since getting out, but it's not really bouncing into VWAP. But the red stock for me, of course, is SMCI. This was me getting out of SMCI. This is SMCI heading lower. So yeah, as we were, because at the moment I was getting out, I moved over to Intel long, which was the right decision, but we could have also just gone back into the short on SMCI. I chose to go with the one that, there's no right answer, but Intel was grab the bottom, grab the higher low, and was trending up. So I would rather go with the trend than take another trade on SMCI against. Obviously that ended up being the wrong decision. Let's see if I can't get SMCI back underneath VWAP, because the sad thing is it might be red, but the thesis is actually pretty good that this prior low for Thursday and Friday ends up being the turning spot on SMCI. So any pop, we're just going to try to go short that one again, if we can get it at this point. But let us know what other names you might be watching. We haven't really covered everything, and I don't want to completely ignore. AMD took a stake, and Cerebras decided 16% plus was good. Almost, it hit 260 at one point. But remember, that's just filling in the gap from Wednesday. This thing got dunked on aftermarket. Absolutely dunked on. So it fills in the gap, and it looks like it could be pulling back. On the 15-minute, this looks like a bit of a reversal candle for now on Cerebras. And one name that we have not talked about, I don't think at all today, which is worth mentioning, CoreWeave. Remember their big earnings run on CoreWeave? Well, it also had, there's your earnings gap, there's your false breakout. This doesn't look as bullish as it did before. False breakout here. It's threatening a bit of a kind of false break, and then I guess fill in the gap to the downside. But it's got $100 to contend with first. So CoreWeave is not really on the radar to start with. But when I look at the market struggling under VWAP, I'm like, well, what seems like it could be a short? And CoreWeave, if I don't get SMCI, would be the backup plan. I'm still trying to reload beyond meat, but just sort of sitting here under VWAP, and it's not really picking me up. And then Snapchat, as I said, that's not really moving as much as we had expected it would after its phantom drop in the pre-market.
Yeah, the name maybe, and I saw some people in the chat talking about it, and it's just a pretty chalk name, obviously with Apple, but it just this is pretty much the trade that I like to look at and try to focus on. On a regular basis, especially at this time of day, is when you come back into some of the lows there, and potentially look at this for a base to get long. The only thing that I'm having a little bit of a problem with, and whenever I think about this, it always turns out that's too cautious and should probably just take it. It's just the market right now. It's hit view up a couple times. Looks like it wants to get lower. There isn't. I mean, I did want to actually have a quick look. Just sort of bringing up, bless you. I just want to bring this up to some attention in case you're interested in it. It's down here at 304. I don't really like the fact that it keeps failing off the 25 period. Failed off VWAP there again. So, I just saw a lot of people talking about it. It's not necessarily a name for me right there, and I just want to give a reason why, because I have Apple written down at 306 as a possible long, and that just was not well written down by me, because I had looked at it early when we first got in, and it was already up here at 306, 307, and I thought to myself, like, if the market's going to be a little strong and we do get dip buys into 306, well, that came at 9 o'clock, it was already down here to 306. So that dip buy, if I had seen the sticky note and I wrote it down around 306, I probably would have used 304 right down here as some kind of support. So it's getting into a level of interest for sure. Just a little nervous about taking that long. So if you're in it, watch out for that 304 to break. I can't say I'm hating on that kind of a look right now. I thought I liked Microsoft as a long. The software names had battled back. We did try to stab at Palantir earlier. That did not work. But, in this space there today, it's not great. I actually really don't like, I've already talked about Meta too much, probably my sort of disdain for it right at these levels. I think there's a lot lower coming for Meta. And I know the market multiple is around that 20. It should be fine. Google, Microsoft, Palo Alto turned out to be a real large holding right now. And that's just because of the way it's matured up. So thinking about maybe getting out of some of that just because it's a little bit too much. CRM had that, remember we had that workday bump last week? Well, they're all come back in a little bit there as well. This has been good. We talked about the chip space being well off today, and it is, right? There's SanDisk up 10%. Micron just keeps on working like every day. It's like back up to $1,000. Like, SK Hynix is probably a name, Neil, that we need to look at because that doesn't move around the same as the rest, and maybe it should. Caterpillar, basically right where I bought this name, not doing a whole heck of a lot. G Vernova up, AMAT, these names are all up, but not up anything too good. AMAT's the one that's up nicely there.
Well, good, because it got smoked.
That's what I was going to say. It's up because it's battling back AMAT. And the space that, I really think has a nice little runway, and people were talking about hiding cash somewhere in the XLF, in the IBB, or the XBI as well here, healthcare technology. I like that, right? I like the health technology names, the biotech names. So Eli Lilly trying to get back. It was just at 1240 last week. Its all-time high is 1254 or something. So you're not too far away from that. And J&J's been one that I've recently added to into that 220 area. So J&J's been a real nice long for us as well. And before we go back over to a number or to Neil, this is not what I'm looking for. Where was retail trade? Oh, it's up here. It's always, Amazon's always the biggest, of course, by market. This is all by market cap weighting, so not by the move they're having on the day. This week is retail. So you're going to get Target, which is 153. Yeah, not going to get into that. I don't care what they report. It's been a nice move there for Target. We're going to hold on to that. Walmart downside there. And then Home Depot is the most interesting name to me. We can look actually at a chart of Home Depot. Is it a Dara or we're okay?
I think it's...
Okay, it's a Dara. Okay, what? Oh, shit. It's a Dara with Sector Watch, and I just did it. But, okay, so we're going to go over that. She's going to talk about more about the sectors than I just did. But Home Depot is an interesting one with their earnings coming later on this week. So, all right, sorry about that, guys. It's a Dara with Sector Watch, but it'll be much better than what I just did.
Yeah, I think I'm going to steer clear of some of the sectors that Shawn just covered because I think we got good coverage of those. I want to talk about some of the other sectors here, if I may. But I want to mention as well, Shawn, with Home Depot reporting tomorrow morning, their CEO just went on medical leave less than a week before the earnings report. Now, based on the C3 AI model, I'm not sure that's a good look for HD. So be aware. But I'll talk mostly here about tech services because I think that's where you're seeing the most obvious bloodshed, with the exception of Cadence Design. So former name that was led by current Intel CEO Lit Bhutan. That name actually green, everything else here blood red. Google, Microsoft, Meta, the three make sevens in this sector to the downside, with Google performing a little bit better than Meta and Microsoft. You've got Oracle, Netflix, Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Fortinet, Adobe, ADP, Accenture, all sharply to the downside. So SaaS Mageddon 2.0 perhaps, no, but all jokes aside, there's lots of weakness in this sector, with ServiceNow as well down about 3.5%. Now, if you look here as well, finance, you've got some red spots here. KKR down 3.5%. Consumer non-durables really weak, with Nike and Nike and KDP both down about 3.5% each. So NKE weakness certainly in focus. Utilities not doing well here either. Now, I know one name in the sector that's going to be in watch. VST was picked up by Peter Thiel, so that's part of his portfolio, could be of note You've got CEG, though, a peer of VST, down 2 and I guess 7/10, almost 3% to the downside here. Consumer services weak, health services weak, commercial services also weak. But as Shawn mentioned, health tech, relative strength here. Johnson & Johnson and Eli Lilly, the two largest names of the sector, trading up roughly 1% each. Back to you.
It's hard to pass on Mendo. Thank you very much.
We have our draft coming this week, and you just had one last week, so.
We have one guy in our fantasy league. One of my dynasty leagues drafted yesterday. One guy in my fantasy league, if he gets in his mind that he wants something, you get the deal done within 5 minutes because he's going to screw himself up.
Yeah, he just gets too
excited.
So
he gets way too excited and emotional. He wanted a pick, and then when I was on the clock, I'm just like, I don't know. And all of a sudden, he'll just put something ridiculous in your inbox, and then it's like, oh, instant accept. Like, stop what I'm doing, make sure I accept before he realizes he's being a fool. One thing before we move too far away here, I want to remind everybody, Reddit's going into the S&P 500 tonight. The expected share volume is 21 million shares. That's obviously pretty sizable. That's $3.7 billion worth of shares that should be going in and potentially being bought. So Reddit, not really doing a heck of a lot, but we expect that to pick up at the end of the day. Well, if it doesn't pick up at the end of the day, it's probably trapping people. So one way or another, like if it comes out a sell instead of a buy, it's going to screw a bunch of people. It's probably going to head down. So 350, we're going to watch that. Beyond's coming back off VWAP. We'll try to grab that one. And we had a super chat in here, which it's a bit of a weird one. But oh, there it is. Ed Clark, why not? She sells seashells on the seashore. But it's by the seashore, is it not? I think
she sells
seashells by the seashore, or is it on the seashore? It's not that big of a tongue twister.
It sounds like it would be by.
If you're going to try to get us on a tongue twister, I think you can do better than that. Ed, but we appreciate the super chat there, and that is in pounds. So
the woodchuck one.
Yeah, where are you from? Where are you from in England? I was just in London this year, family in Leicester, and I'm a Liverpool fan. So that's my all over the place story there. Although we did venture out very, very briefly and went to Preston because my wife has family in Preston, which I had never heard of until literally we went. Not a very big place at all. But they knew how to party after the England game. You can tell on the ground. So Apple's trying to catch a bit of a bid here. The market's, look, I don't know what to tell you about the overall market, except for this is what we're doing on the Qs. Fail the high, fail the low, diddle in the middle. Same story over here in the SPY, except the range is a bit weaker, right? Because tech has been leading the way. But it's just gently to the downside. We haven't really busted out the lows. We haven't broken through VWAP. Nothing too crazy
chilly, man.
in there. And Obi is in the house, and he's in the plaid.
You know I was long SpaceX. Obi comes right in and is like, did you catch that SpaceX long? Obi, man, we were long at 140 and 141. That thing went up to 150. So you're about to get in tuned with Obi today. All right, so the only position I have right now is SoFi. Yeah, Shkreli, you're going to hear a lot of Obi coming up very, very soon in the next 14 minutes. All right, so the one last move here. If this breaks below, I was actually going to get out if it breaks below 25. So you guys can see me put that. Actually, the order is already in there, but I'm going to put it in again just to make sure. Sometimes it's like I never know if these orders are going to cancel or not. There is 18.25. We do put that in there again. Here's another one. It's 50 British pounds right now, Neil.
Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Come
on, son.
That's not even a tongue twister.
Come on, son. Come on, son. You come on now.
That can't be a tongue twister.
Ed,
what's the story?
I know you've got better than that. I know you do. I'm just saying. That's not a tongue twister.
That's not.
I've never heard that one before.
I don't know. Yeah.
So maybe you know what? But that's the thing. It's probably like an English thing. Maybe it's like if you have the right accent, it's harder with like an English. I don't know. Joe Ventura with a super chat. A man, a plan, a canal, Panama. Read it backwards.
Oh, it's the same.
Oh, a
that's
man.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, that's a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. What's that called again?
I don't know. That's what I just asked.
Adara. What's it called when something is read forwards and backwards the same?
It is called a palindrome, I believe.
Is there anything that she does not know or remember?
Probably a lot of things, but words are kind of my sweet spot. So.
Yeah. Well, Adara's, for you guys that don't know, when everyone sees Adara here, she trades Berry tickers, brings you the news all day long, does the interviews, fantastic. But she's actually a writer as well, like a legitimate writer.
Let's tell everybody she plays Scrabble.
And plays Scrabble really well.
Yeah.
I still think we should enter Adara into like a Scrabble championships, and then
I've entered myself into one actually. So I will keep you guys posted on that in a couple months.
What's the prize total for winning?
I don't even know. I'm not there for the prize, and I'm not ranked. Like everybody else is like a rank. My rank is 0. I've never played in a competitive level, so I'm just there to have fun and to learn a lot. I've been training every day very hard, so we'll see how it goes.
We should stake you and then get a piece of the winnings.
All right, training hard for Scrabble. I like it.
Which is like, wasn't that like reading or?
There's a lot. There's cue cards. There's a whole bunch of online cue cards. Look up Zizava if you're curious. That's the online cue card system.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that. So
no, I don't know.
Shout out to Scrabble. Although I like playing Scrabble, that's for sure.
I love it. It's a fun game. I just remember
Anagram.
Beat my mom's would not. She didn't like. My parents didn't let us win when we were kids.
Oh no.
We play as a family.
That's okay.
And it would basically just turn into like they would massacre us, and then it would just my mom and dad battling each other.
Teach you early.
Fabian, yes, you've reminded us what we should have already been doing. I'll get it up here. For those of you that don't know, and you should know by now, Chop for Charity is happening here on the 28th of August. Fabian, who you see right behind me,
2 Fridays,
is going to cut that fantastic quaff and donate the 28 inches to charity. It's a fantastic cause.
There's Obi. There's Obi.
Yeah, there's Obi in the house in the plaid today.
And Obi's going to cut off the man bun as well.
Obi's got a little bit of a flow too. Obi could join that party easily. I'm just saying he could. You don't have to, but he absolutely could. And we want to thank everybody for the donations that we already have. And Jenny, Sherry,
David. If you skim
we already have
1,300.
1,300.
I was going to say, do we have it on the board there?
1,300.
No, it's more than that. It's 1,600. You didn't refresh, my God.
Oh, shoot. Did I not refresh?
Come on, Neil.
1,597, 1,600. What am I talking about? Ignore that.
Neil, short
and we have new ones from Sherry, and then Leandra Valdez as well. So I want to thank everybody for contributing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to cut that hair live on air, everybody. So we're going to enjoy it. And again, it's a fantastic cause. I think everyone knows and is affected to some degree. I think pretty much everybody knows somebody that's affected by cancer.
Ed came back again now. The thing is, the best one is the
palindrome?
No, can a woodchuck.
How much wood could woodchuck could chuck wood? But I don't know I don't know the rest of the.
But we have another one here, Peter Piper. This is a tough one.
Oh, I can't do this one. That one's actually hard. Let's go to Adara. Let Adara try to do the.
This Ed Clark one is nuts, but keep them coming, man. And if you keep on giving super chats like that, we don't have any problem spending some time talking about.
Yeah, that one I can't do.
There, that's that Peter. That's the Seashells by the Seashores, an original one, and this one is a big one as well. So let's go back over. It's 10:51. It's time for Money Talks with Adara.
I'm going to do Money Talks, but first I'm going to try to talk through this super chat. Thank you to Ed Clark with that 100 British pound super chat. Neil and Shawn said I could take this, so I'll take this. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? That is the super chat. Thank you very much to Ed Clark for that donation. That was a lot of fun. But also not so fun here, unfortunately, is the US dollar. I've been talking a lot about this, at this point, actually triple tap of that 99.4 level on the DXY. This also was prior resistance going back to late April of 2026. I think this is actually Fed Day. So yeah, this level is certainly going to be of note here, this 99.5 level. We briefly broke below it. We've already reclaimed it. Right now, local resistance on the DXY continues to be 100, just above that 100 level. So keep an eye on that area. Now, in terms of economic data, we had two minor numbers today. NY Fed Manufacturing and NAHB Housing Market Index, both of these coming in above expectations. We had tomorrow, we're going to get building permits and housing starts, as well as import and export prices at 8:30. 10 a.m. we're going to be getting what number here? Pending home sales. So some home and export and import and building data. Wednesday, no major economic data in the morning, but at 2 p.m. you get the FOMC meeting minutes. I would say that's probably the biggest economic data drop all week, because then you get initial jobless claims on Thursday and S&P Services PMI on Friday. Let's take a look here at the FOMC Fed Watch tool. 70% chance here of rates being held, 30% chance of a hike. We've kind of seen us oscillating around that 70-30 level right now, with the rate hold very much being favored for that September meeting. We are still seeing, though, the chance of a hike before the year is up, specifically right now, that hike priced in December. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Adair. We are getting ready for SpaceX to go back through 150 right now. So I'm going to see if we could take that out, and I'll try to join it with a long there, unit and a half or so, give it a little bit of room, maybe back to 149 right there. If it breaks it, it breaks it. If not, there it goes, 149 and change right there going through for SpaceX. So we already got out, I think, near the highs anyways. We'll see if that is the high or not for SpaceX, but we got out at 149.50s already there today. It's back temporarily. We'll see for how long this will last, but what's for lunch is back. We do have the menus now, and this is a very unique one. I mean, it's coming back with hot fire today. It is a Korean flag. I don't believe I've ever read this before out here right now.
That's okay.
Grilled Korean pork belly.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
oh, word?
Okay. We'll see what that looks like. Vegetarian will get the barbecue tofu apparently as well. The starch today will be glass noodles with veg, so that's pretty good. So the pork belly with the noodles with the stir-fried side veg. So I think that's good, man. Chopped salad, sesame seed dressing. I like that. That's a face slapper right there today. I think that should be enjoyable. That is what's for lunch here at Trader TV Live, as we do have our menus are back right now as more returning employees over on the other side there for Real Trading. And of course, we sit here.
All done.
Yeah, the renovations are done. The desks are being
mostly
put together now, and all the wiring. And you see Michael's gone, Randy's gone. Everybody's out of the studio now, so they don't have to hear our.
Yeah, but our gigantic plant is still here.
Good.
They didn't take the.
Good.
They left the huge plant. So
I want the plant in the background here, man. I like the plant. I like having some.
You guys
plants,
can't see it.
Around. All right, so that's SpaceX there today. It's really starting to get going. We'll keep it on the screen. As I just review a little bit, Cerebras, monster day for Cerebras, up 16%. That's a big one. DRAM today up 7% as that's going boom. Marvell up 7% as well. The SOXL, there's SpaceX. We just talked about that. That's up 6%. There's your SK Hynix, which this one kind of, I guess I thought it was lower than this. They've had a really nice run back to the upside.
Come back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but I thought that was like a 130, 140, now 180 for SK Hynix as that name just continues to go bump in the night. That's a good one. Looks like we fail off a 149 again, so we don't have to worry about our SpaceX. I'll get to the gym if it breaks.
One thing on that Cerebras though.
Yeah.
Remember, part of that was AMD taking a stake, but AMD is down today.
Yeah.
AMD, a lot of strong chip names. AMD's not one of them. Great day on Friday for them, but they are actually down 0.5%. But look at it hug, everyone's favorite indicator, the volume-weighted average price. This just, it's begging to join this breakout. There's so many names that are teetering for this market to try to bounce. Apple making fresh lows and trying to bounce again, like that could be a bit of a name. I'll be mad at myself over SMCI because that just broke low today, but it's so screaming back to the upside, failed that short and then didn't jump back in. Maybe that gets to VWAP and we can take it, although it broke the volume-weighted average price, and that was the short. So I think a little more patience, allowing it to crest off of that top, is going to be the way to go. Obviously, people are still talking about SanDisk 10%, WDC, which we don't give enough credit to. I feel like when we talk about the memory names, it's always Micron and SanDisk, and obviously we'll look at DRAM, which is a group, SK Hynix, but Western Digital as well. Right? It's up 5 points, or 7 points, sorry. It's at a good spot here at the top. And then the other name that I want to try to get involved in again, Intel. The last time it consolidated, there was no pullback into VWAP, so we got out, and Intel's back at 105. So back to where it was at 6:30 in the morning, round trip down to 2, and then back to 105. Let's see if this one gives some kind of a VWAP dip. To try to get back in, and sold the low in the chat saying Trump on the bid of Intel. Well, I don't think the U.S. government's taking more of a stake, but they have been on the bid, and it's been working out pretty well for them. It's Lip Bhutan that's now on the bid of Intel because he just bought 10 million in shares.
Well, I bet you he's on the offer.
Not that quick. Lip's
you don't think so? 10 million shares at 95? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I think Lip's holding.
I don't know. Every time I put $10 million into a name and it goes up $10, I generally get out, but that's just me. Okay, we'll wait to see what Lipwood hand. Yeah, obviously he's gonna have to disclose, right, back and forth.
That's
anyways.
the thing.
So
I don't think he could sell that.
Yeah,
fast.
all kidding aside on that one. I only get into $8 million max. All right, so SoFi right there. We just got out at 836. I mean, we've just been buying that dip. I mean, these are the levels that we like. So, 1836 there. Good. I don't know if it's a good level or not, but we just got some fills there. I was waiting for more at 37. I just kind of want to take this up, and then if we get VWAP, great. We'll see if we can still hold on to a little bit of that one as we move forward here in the day. As we get closer to passing over to the midday, of course. You didn't see any Joey Opsh there off the open. He's taking an R&R day, so we have Obi blessed with him to fill in today. So you're going to see Obi and Sharif, the midday maniacs, coming through very, very soon. There's SoFi, so we get to 37. And look, man, it's only 7 cents right now, but it's an $18 stock. So we're going to scalp away on that one and see what's going on over there. Nice day low. I mean, remember I warned you guys about Apple and that I didn't want to take it. I mean, it only broke a little bit down there. Wow, SoFi okay, good. We just got a 39 on SoFi. That name's working. Look at the futures. Apple this way, futures taking out some of the highs are back into day high again for the futures. So, I mean, that's going to be pretty good. And I'm just talking about the open market. Obviously, it's a pre-market was a bit higher, but that's a nice move there. SpaceX back down to 148 and not doing a whole heck of a lot. A quick little check on how. Not doing anything, although halting right there. The big halter there, WFF, has been going back and forth a little bit. We'll see when that one next opens up in just a minute. Looks like that's going to open. That has not been open for more than a minute or so all day on that. And then WETO looks like it's been good for a minute now. Last halt at 10:30, so that's due for something coming up here on WETO. But yeah, it's been a good one, man. I mean, thanks everybody. Get back in there. If you like the show, We say that all the time. There was just 5,400 watching. That's light. What is it now? It is, scroll down, my guy. Where are we? Right there. 7,500 of you watching. Oh, 1,000 likes. We like that one. Hit the like button. Oh, you've been hitting the like button today. We like that one there. Get it over 1,000 if you haven't done it. Neil and I are back at 2 p.m., of course. I don't see Sia here either, so I don't know. It must be a nice and rest and relaxation day for the youth around here.
It's a chill month.
With Joe and Sia. But Adara's here, so we like that one.
And we get a new lunch today.
Yeah, and
I'm missing out on the new lunch.
I should check. I'm not here tomorrow.
Oh, what's the lunch?
I'm going to check. What I'm going to do what tomorrow's lunch is already? I see the flag. Where are you going, Oh, I have an appointment, so family appointments tomorrow.
We'll keep
I see what it is.
We'll keep it a secret.
Okay, it's not. It actually looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good. It does look.
Damn it. Okay, there it is, man.
I'll just eat yours.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. I think
good.
It might be a multiple.
I won't let it go to waste.
One there. 11:01. Okay, great trading today. Hopefully you guys are green. I know we are. We'll pass it off to the midday show. See you then. A treat with Obi. We'll see you at 2 p.m.
Treat.
Boom, 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 boom.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. What's going on, guys? It's been a while. Been a minute.
There he is, guys.
Been a quick hot second.
Hot second.
Hot second.
I like
These
that.
seconds are getting real hot.